looks like, huh? Wow.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Warminster Board of Supervisors, Thursday, July 22nd. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a moment, please stay standing, a moment of silence for all our brave servicemen and civilians serving overseas and here. Thank you very much. Okay, how about we start with some announcements? Kathy, we'll start with you.
Sure. Mr. Chair, good evening. Have a couple announcements I would like to share. Get some community events now in Warminster. It's really nice to get out there and celebrate the new businesses that are coming into the township and any other events that we may have. So some of my fellow supervisors were at the Habitat for Humanity opening, which was a beautiful, beautiful site. I read an article in the paper about it. It's one of the largest, or one of the largest in the whole country. And we were in there. Judy was there, and myself, and we had some other folks from the township. We had one of our auditors there. Anyways, it was a beautiful store, and it had lots of nice things that you could purchase, very reasonable. So please support them because they do a really noble cause, you know, providing homes and all for people that are in need. One of the other things we did, the egg scramble at the park. That was on Friday afternoon at 4:30 in 100-degree heat. The kids didn't seem to mind it too much.
Never do.
Mark McKee, Erica McKee, they were there with us. Pat Boyle, we had some, Patty Crossan from the school board was there, was present for that also. So that was a really nice event. And then on Saturday, we had a Stuff the Cruiser event at ShopRite. So that was by the Equal Opportunity Council was involved with that. There was also a lot of volunteers. And we collected more food than they ever had before. So a lot of folks did a lot of good work donating and all. I want to thank everybody that participated in any of these community events on behalf of our township. Thank you. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Kathy. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few. We had we haven't met in a while, back in June, was the annual Operation Ward 57 5K, which our friend Heather Slowinski runs. And for those of you that don't know, Ward 57 is the ward at Bethesda Naval Hospital for the amputees. Heather runs a 5K every year. This year, the Centennial School District was gracious enough to let her run it at Tenet High School because the park's unavailable to do all that wonderful work we're doing over there. She had a tremendous turnout. I wanted to thank our friend Joe Cowie from ShopRite. He donated the water and the ice. And I wanted to thank the owners of Crafties on York Road. Every year, they sell T-shirts leading up to this event and donate the money. And they have all the fellas that come up here from Bethesda for the event. The Holiday Inn gives them free rooms, and Crafties puts dinner out for them afterwards. So I just wanted to give them a little free commercial because they're good people that they do that for these guys, and it's the least that we as a community could do for these people. So, and kudos to Heather for another successful event. And I just have a few condolences I'd like to pass on to. We lost back in June Peter Bruner. For those of you who don't remember Peter, he was a longtime historian from Warwick Township, but he was heavily involved in Warminster in the 275th anniversary. His name's not on that plaque, but he was very involved in the 275th of Warminster. He was also the head of the William Tennant House over on York Road that they're trying to restore. He was also instrumental in putting together that, I don't know if you've ever been to the cemetery over off of Newtown Road next to Fox Run Apartments, where they were able to identify each person that's in there and what year they served in the military and what their contributions were to our community. But Peter was heavily involved in all that. So I just wanted to send my condolences on behalf, I'm sure, of the board and the township along with his family. Peter Bruner was a real historian and really passionate about it, so he'll be sorely missed. And I also wanted to pass, and this is kind of a personal one, I wanted to pass condolences along to the Komolowski family. George Komolowski was a township supervisor for 20-some years in Northampton who passed a few years ago. His wife Pat passed recently, and Pat was, you wouldn't meet a more terrific person. A few years ago, as you all know, I had a battle with cancer, and while that was going on, this woman looked in on me every week. A phone call, an email, a text, how you doing and all. She'll be sorely missed. She was a wonderful person, and she did a lot for Northampton. In fact, we just saw we were through their park last week, and there was a nice plaque there for her at George. So I just wanted to send condolences along to the Komolowski family for Pat. She was a terrific woman. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Mary?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So I have some library announcements. Summer reading program. It's not too late to join the library's annual summer reading program. This program asks children from birth to grades 12 to read and complete summer learning activities to earn virtual raffle tickets towards prizes. To register for summer reading, please stop by the library or go online to warminstertownship.beanstack.org by August the 7th. Fab Lab, the Bucks County Intermediate Union is bringing their mobile Fab Lab to the library. The mobile lab is a transit van that transports several carts full of equipment such as 3D printers, a laser engraver, CNC router, a vinyl cutter, and a variety of robotics equipment. The Fab Lab also has laptop computers with specialized software programs to control and interact with this equipment. Kids in grades 1 to 8 can drop in to explore coding and digital fabrication activities on Tuesday, August the 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and no registration is required. I also have announcements for Parks and Rec. Chalk It Up. If your family likes to draw, reserve your space for the Chalk It Up Art Day this coming Saturday, July 24th from 10 a.m. to noon at Warminster Community Park. Reserve your art square by calling the office or go online. Our famous Rubber Ducky Regatta. Duck tickets are still available for purchase, and for the Rubber Ducky Regatta, it has been postponed until August 29th of this year. The event will take place at Kemper Park at 1 p.m., where rubber ducks will float down to the finish line in the Neshaminy Creek. Join us for just a ducky picnic that starts at noon. Bring a lunch and we will provide dessert. Purchase tickets online or at Parks and Rec office. If it is not sold out, some may be available on the day of this event. This is sponsored by Quate Oak Bank. Save the date. Warminster Day will be held Saturday, September 18th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Warminster Community Park. The Warminster Day Committee is seeking for volunteers and sponsors, as well as vendors for the marketplace. Please check out the website at www.warminsterdays.org. Parks and Rec has discount amusement park and entertainment venue tickets. Discount tickets are available for a limited number of venues. Some tickets are timed, they're print on demand, or you can print them at home. A full list is available online. Summer camps. Geo-coaching from August 2nd to the 6th, and the Crayola Artist Camp from August 16th to the 20th will take place Monday to Friday from 9 to 12 at Warminster Community Park. Please register for this online also. Warminster Community Park improvements are still underway. The grant construction at Warminster Community Park continues, and we expect sections of the park will still remain closed until the end of July. For more information or to see the map that's going on with the project, stop by the Parks and Rec office or call 215-443-5428. Dog licenses in Bark Park 2021 annual dog licenses can be purchased at Parks and Rec office Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pennsylvania law requires that all dogs over the age of 3 months must be licensed and have a rabies vaccination. 2021 Bark Park memberships are also available. Virtual Bark Park orientation classes are held the third Wednesday of every month. Please call Parks and Rec to be placed on this class list. The Friends of Warminster Park's fundraising for the Bank Shop basketball. After receiving a generous legacy gift, the Friends are fundraising to complete the intergenerational all-inclusive Bank Shop basketball program. For more information or to donate, please go to www.friendsofwarminsterparks.org. Hometown Hero banners remain available. The Friends of Warminster Parks continue to offer Hometown Hero banner program honoring our local veterans. Banners are displayed along Veterans Way in Warminster Community Park from April through December. For an application or for more information, please go to www.friendsofwarminsterparks.org or please stop by Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec would also like to thank the Warminster police officers Chris O'Neill with his K-9 Bolt and Rich Kurtzer with K-9 Link for an excellent presentation at Popsicles with Police Pups that took place on Wednesday, July 14th. Look for them again on Warminster Day. We'd also like to thank Penn Community Bank for sponsoring our Easter in July, the egg scramble that was on last Friday, July 16th, that took place at the park. The Easter Bunny was on site, and all attendees received lots of eggs and prizes. For any information on any additional programs or events, please visit www.warminstertownship.org/special events or call 215-443-5428. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to make one addition. The Stuffer Cruiser event that was held at ShopRite with Mr. Cowie, who owns the store, was done by our police department, the Warminster Police Department, and kudos to them for doing a phenomenal job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome. And Judy.
Okay. Good evening. Nice to see everybody and your faces, unmasked. It's nice. I wanted to give you some information about the Ben Wilson Senior Activity Center. They have an Arts and Barks Fest and car show being held at the Warminster Community Park for the benefit of the Ben Wilson Center on August 28th from 11 to 3. There's going to be food trucks, crafters, vendors, cornhole tournament, animal rescues, and a car show. The travel club is now open again, and trips are resuming. You can check the website for what trips they are planning at the Ben Wilson Center. The center is now open part-time Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 3, and Fridays from 9 to 1. And plans for full-time are to begin on September 7th. Thursday, September 23rd from 1 to 3, they're having a senior expo. And also produce vouchers are available now available at the Ben Wilson Center. You can get applications for produce vouchers outside of the door of the Ben Wilson Center at the front door or online. The Ben Wilson Center online address is bwsac.org. I hope you can all participate.
That's it? All right, I don't have any other announcements other than thanks everyone for coming out. It's nice to see everybody live. It's been a while, and looking forward to a quick meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
may I? I'm sorry.
Exec session.
Oh, yeah, that's
wanted to-
correct. That's correct, yeah.
I wanted to announce, can I be heard? I wanted to announce that prior to this township meeting, we had an executive session where we discussed personnel, labor, and litigation matters. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I did not, that slipped
all
my
good.
mind. Okay, presentations. I believe we have someone here to present the 2020 audit. Julie Davis.
Julie, how are you?
It's nice to be in person. My first in-person meeting in a year and
3 months.
3 months. Is that what it is? Seems longer.
Seems like 15 months ago.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully you all have a copy of the audit in front of you. I'm going to go through it as quickly as possible. It's pretty thick, so I promise not to go through it in detail. Page 1 and 2 is the independent auditor's report. If you look on page 2 of that letter, you can see the opinion there is an unmodified or clean opinion. Okay, I'm going to start moving through this. Pages 3 to 13 are the management discussion and analysis. This is a client document. This is your document written by you. So it's basically a summary of what happened in 2020, and I will not review that in detail since that is your document. Okay, starting on page 14, we have the financial statements. As I explain every year, there are 2 sets of financial statements. The first set is a full accrual basis statement. So what that means is you have all of your long-term assets and liabilities reported here. All of your government activities are collapsed into one column, and business type activities in another column. So just a few things of note. Your total assets for 2020 increased $3 million to $62 million. That's in the governmental activities fund. Overall, they increased from 64 to 67 million. If you look all the way down at the very bottom of the page, the net position for the township overall, both government and business type activities, increased from 25 million to 28 million during the year. One of the big things that happened in 2020 was that your net pension liability dropped significantly due to the market performance of your pension investments. The net pension liability dropped from 13 million to 9 in 1 year, so that's great. Unless anybody has questions on that, I'm going to go to the next page.
Just a comment that if the market sways, that could very easily go the other way.
Yes.
That's not a permanent
Nope.
number. That's a moving number.
And there's more detail about that in the notes, just stuff to highlight there. On pages 15 and 16, we have the statement of activities, which is your expenses net of revenue. And I'm just going to point the bottom line out to you, which is the most important thing. The change in net position for 2020 was a positive 2 million versus a negative 1.1 million in 2019. So that again is the governmental activities. The golf course did well also. Last year the golf course had a $228,000 increase. This year it had 609. So it did improve last year. At least it was positive as well.
And that's money that was owed to the general fund that's being paid back to the general fund,
Correct.
just for the public's edification, because I
Yep.
know we bring that up a lot.
Yeah.
What's owed to the general
Right.
fund.
There was a
Went to golf.
significant repayment of the loan between.
Right, it was at
yes.
1.89 million at one point, and there's money gradually being put back to
Yep.
the general fund from the golf course.
Amen.
Yep, yep. Okay, page 17 and 18, this starts the modified accrual basis statements. These statements are presented on a fund basis, so you see your individual funds here. We present what we have calculated to be the major funds, and then the rest of the funds are collapsed into one column. Those non-major funds are detailed in the back. If you were interested in getting the details on all those smaller funds, they are further at the end of the statement. The modified accrual basis presents the short-term view of your financial position. It does not present long-term assets such as fixed assets, anything related to the pension liability, et cetera. Again, in the liabilities, you're not seeing your long-term liabilities like the pension and the Opeb and the debt. So this is a more short-term view. I'm going to go to page 20 and 21. These are the statement of revenues and expenditures on a fund basis, looking at the general fund, because this obviously is your major operating fund. The revenues did increase from 19 to 20, a lot of that due to taxes going up. Total expenditures decreased, so slightly, but hey, it's a decrease. Always good to see. Overall, the third to last line from the bottom, the net change in fund balances in the general fund was a negative 57,000, which I'm calling a break even, versus a 1 million negative number from 19. So big improvement there. Okay, any questions on that?
No, other than we've reduced the deficit spending by over $1 million. But we only went up with a $57,000 negative spending.
Yep, and when
As
you're
opposed-
talking this kind of dollars,
Right.
57,000
And that's
is
just in the general fund.
break
That's
even.
right. Yeah, I understand. what you're
Yeah,
talking-
yeah.
Yeah. No, I just want, that's a great point. That's a great positive.
very. Page 23, 24, and 25 are the financial statements for the golf course. As previously stated, the golf course had a good year. It was positive 609,000. As you pointed out, your due to other funds to the general fund decreased substantially. It was over $2 million in 19. It's down to $1 million. So that is great news. And then pages 26 and 27 are your fiduciary fund statements. Your fiduciary funds are your pension trust funds. So your non-uniform defined benefit and contribution plan, and your police pension plan are in there. And again, we do have combining statements in the back if you wanted to see how the individual funds performed. The custodial funds is your escrow funds. This is a new presentation this year. What we're not used to seeing on page 27 is a a statement of changes in fiduciary net position for the custodial funds, but with a new accounting pronouncement, we're required to reflect the ins and the outs in the escrow funds for the year. Okay. Page 28 starts the summary of, the notes to the financial statements and the summary of significant accounting policies. There's not too much new in these, in this first note, which is about 10, 11 pages long. So I'm not going to go over that in detail. Not much has changed. I'm going to jump to page 38. On page 38, we start the cash and investments note. Again, there's a lot of detail in here about cash balances and investment balances, the types of risk associated with the investments. All the investments referred to here are pension funds. So again, this is a lengthy note that I won't go through in much detail, but if you were interested in knowing about the custodial credit risk of your investments, it's all laid out there. So let's go to page 43. You had net capital assets in the government fund of $49 million at the end of 2020. This note gives you a detailed breakout of the types of assets in your capital assets and the associated depreciation. The bottom half of the note is the golf course. Okay, moving to page 44, we start the long-term liabilities note, which is the breakout of your long-term debt. So you have a breakout of each note and the activity in that for the year. And then the next page lays out all the terms and maturities and purpose of the notes, et cetera. All right. Going to page 47. This starts the pension plan note, which is very, very long. So I just want to point out a few interesting things this year. If you want to go to page 52. Page 52 gives you the detail of the pension liability, the fiduciary net position, and the net pension liability for both plans. If you look down the bottom of both tables, you can see the net changes for the year. So the first column is the total pension liability. The second column is what you have in investments, your pension net position. And then the third column is pension liability. If you look at that net change column or line, you can see that the net pension liability increased for both of them. But as you said, Mark, the net position increased substantially more. So the performance of your investments in the pension plans really drove that pension liability down. Okay. Okay. Let's jump to page 58. Page 58 is the Opeb liability calculation. So this is a similar calculation for your post-retirement benefits. You can see the difference here is that you don't have a trust set up for to fund the Opeb liability. So that's generally going to grow each year, just like your pension liability does, but without investments to offset it.
Can we explain to the public what OPEB means?
It's other post-employment benefits. So healthcare generally.
Healthcare, if someone retires at 50 and they're guaranteed healthcare till they're 55, the township's responsible for that.
Right.
Thus is the OPEB cost.
Right. So that liability generally climbs each year. So that's just the difference between those two numbers, why the pension's dropping and the OPEB's increasing.
That's an alarming one. It's been alarming to me for several years. I mean, the pension we've known about this is
It's a big number.
becoming alarming,
Yep.
which I think we're going to talk about that later anyway.
Correct, yeah. And I believe it's 9 years, isn't it? Not 5. For the healthcare.
Correct.
Page 59, I did note there was a new accounting pronouncement adopted. That was your custodial funds activity. And then we had some events, subsequent events to report with the sale of the storm sewer system, refinance of the debt, and purchase of the park property. Just a couple other things to note real quick. On pages 62 and 64, again, there's more pension information here. If you look these pages give you a multi-year look at the pension calculation, so you can see the trends. And if you look at the plan fiduciary net position as a percentage of the total pension liability, you can see that the percentage has been increasing. So at the end of 20, the police plan was 82% funded, and the non-uniform plan was 92% funded. So those are good, strong numbers. It's not, you're not near fiscal distress levels.
And I believe, Mr. Chairman, this is an actuary year as well.
Yes, correct,
Which for the
is going to
public's
help us
advocation-
tremendously.
Right, every 2 years, they take an actuary,
Yep.
takes a picture
Right.
of our pension plan, and that's what determines how much we need to put in every year. And fortunately, the market's been so good this year, when they take the picture, it's gonna be less stress on the township.
And unfortunately, the last one was like the
Right.
real low
Right.
point of the
Right, so
market.
that's
So,
why we have to keep in
Yeah.
mind that this is a moving
Yeah.
number, and
Yeah,
it will be.
It's very dynamic
Yeah.
forever.
Yep.
That's correct.
But we're fortunately, with the market being up, that when they take the picture this year, we'll be in a much better position than we've
Right.
been in the past few years.
for sure. The last thing to point out is on page 69 is your budget to actual for the general fund. And just real quick, at the third to last line, again, the net change in fund balance, you basically budgeted a break even. And again, like I said, you had the negative 57,000, which is basically a break even. So I think you performed well as compared to budget. So that was all I had on that. If you had any questions.
Yeah, does the board have any questions?
No.
No, I had, thanks, thank you. I don't know, Steve, do you have any questions?
Sure, Julie, thank you again for coming in. Always a pleasure to work with you and your team. It's a lot of work to put an audit together of books this big, it really is. And I know it takes a lot of time. John Ramey, Catherine, the whole team here, I know chips in, including the staff, John's staff as well. Like you had mentioned, I think we've got some positives. This is a big year for positives that Julie just talked about. We do have challenges here, though, and we shouldn't, we got to be careful with those as well.
1 second.
Oh, yep.
I don't know if we're on air.
Says meeting
They
will
don't need to see
begin.
me.
Here we
are.
There we go.
Yeah, keep Kathy on there. So, Julie had touched on that OPEB, Mark had touched on that OPEB, and there's an item that that is an item we have to be cognizant of. As Julie had mentioned, we performed well in our pension plans because we had assets that could be invested. We do not have assets that can be invested for the OPEB. We need to tackle that, even if it's at a small amount, by creating a trust where money goes in and it's there for that purpose. And then we're able to invest it in vehicles other than money markets and the normal vehicles where we can put our general fund monies. And then we can capitalize on the appreciations of the market, which we're missing. What happens is you're then able to take the present value of those future investments to decrease that liability of $19 million. And that's something that takes some time. It's not something we can turn over tomorrow and say we have it, but it is something that we want to work on because we need to do that for this community. We need to show that we're going to tackle that and reduce that.
I think we've already begun those discussions, and I think we're gonna try and do it as part of the 22 budget, correct? We're gonna try
That's right.
to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, we're
Right.
very cognizant of what's going on, and it hasn't been addressed for forever.
Been talking about it for 6 years.
It's never been
since I was here.
addressed,
I have.
so we're very cognizant, and we are going to address it, and we
Yeah.
are, and
Because it's not that we owe $18 million right now, but every year we owe a premium on the insurances for our employees' post-retirement benefits. But as we get more people retiring, the premiums are going up and up and up, and we just need to, before that blows another hole in our budget,
that's correct.
talked about bringing that into next year's budget process to start. to
It'll be a
tackle
part of
that.
the next year's budget, yeah. We're going to tackle that. Steve and I have been talking about that. We had brought it up a few
Yeah,
times.
we talked about it last week.
We talked about it, and we're going to address that. That also affects our bond rating, too.
Hopefully, when you're here next year, you'll have some
Yeah,
better news.
we'll
to
have some,
report about
we'll
that.
have something else for you to,
Right.
some more numbers for you.
That's cool. That's good.
Good number.
I just want to say thank you. This was a big year of transition for you guys. You had a lot of, John was new this year, and I think it went incredibly smooth. I was a little nervous, with all the transition, and it went so fast and so well. So a tribute to John and to Catherine, sorry, to Catherine, who was a big help as well, and Steve, you're always a help. So, and Steve, you got us through the 19 audit that I think we just finished as well. But
That's what I was gonna say, it's good to see you in May instead of October.
right?
That's right.
No, actually, it was January. I think it was
Yeah, it was good to see
January.
you in
Yeah.
May this year. When I came in, I stopped in, I said, you're here.
Oh, that's right. We
It's
were in
good to see
November,
you.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Good to
yes.
see you.
So, thank you for that. It was great.
Good. Good.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
very
right.
much.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We could, if you wanted, we could move John to here.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we go right to the finance report? And John.
Sorry, John, I probably
I
should
didn't
have
mean
told
to
you
put
we
you on
were
the
going to change.
spot, but you are.
Yeah, but we are.
Oh, I'll keep up with the good news because that just makes the nights go faster, right?
That's right.
So looking at the financials through the end of May, revenues are up 3% compared to the end of May last year, and expenses are down 4%. So total change from this point, from the end of May this year to last year, is $493,000 to the good. So that's something to keep in mind, that we are on pace of switching everything around, of increasing revenues and decreasing expenses. Looking at numbers compared to budget, revenues were already at 62% of the revenues for the year, and compared to 53% last year, but expenses were only at 29% of budget compared to 33% last year. Some of the differences that make up those changes, real estate taxes are up $81,000. There was no tax increase from 20 to 21, so this is just increase in assessments that is naturally coming in, which is great. EIT revenue is up $195,000, which is kind of shocking considering all the tax returns from 2020 were coming in, and we're not seeing the dip that we thought we were gonna. Mercantile taxes are up $188,000. So some of the bad things, BBT is down $25,000. Building permits are down 73, but I think that's mainly because most of the permits were issued last year for the construction that's happening now. But there's an offset to that the L&I budget is actually, or expenses are down 104. So we're not issuing the permits, they're not getting the fees, so that's balancing itself out. One of the other big one is the rental license, that's down 199,000, but that is something that happens every other year, so it is, the decrease was budgeted for, so we are tracking good on that. Some of the good news on expenses, the public works is down $41,000, which seems shocking considering how bad the winter was. So that's good. The one other item, there's no individual items and expenses besides that stood out. It's more of a department level. Police expenses are up $84,000. We just had a bunch of officers retire and enter the drop plan. So when they do that, they get paid out for unused vacation time, and some of those they added up. If you took those out, the police department would even be a decrease in expenses compared to last year. So that's all good news, I think. Instead of talking about a separate fund tonight, just because of Julie's presentation, I was just going to talk about one individual item, and that's transfer taxes. I always feel like transfer taxes are an indication of how the economy is doing. Things are definitely a little skewed from COVID last year to now. Everyone knows how expensive houses are getting. So compared to last year, transfer taxes are up $164,000. 68 more properties, which I think is more important than the dollar figure. 68 more properties have been sold through the end of June compared to last year. The one thing I usually do is I keep track of any of the big sales. So in 2020, there was two big sales, one for $6.9 million and one for $5.6. That totals up to about $63,000 of what came in 2020. This year, just in June, we had a $7 million sale, which was about $35,000 in revenue. So if you take those three sales out of the equation, we're actually up $192,000 compared to last year without those one-time large sales. So, and they're definitely something you can't count on a yearly basis, so that's why I usually like to exclude them and then look at what's actually happening. So, before I go into any notes, is there any questions on the financials or anything I've gone over?
No, it sounds like we're doing exactly what we intended to do, which is to control spending and balance the budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we do have some more good news.
Good. I'm always up for good news.
I want to say it was last week, we received the first payment from the American Rescue Plan. It was just under 1.7 million.
Oh,
Excellent.
So we have that. We're setting up a new bank account so that we can put the money to the side, and it'll be easier to track the uses of it because there are restrictions on the money.
I was going to ask what restrictions there are.
We're still waiting on some final information from the Treasury because it is all federal money. We will be having to get single audits because it will have over $750,000 in federal expenses. But Steve and I are going to sit down. We're going to talk about a game plan to try and figure out what we're going to use it on. The one thing to note, though, when we do see the financial reports, it's not revenue yet. It's a deferred revenue because we haven't earned it. If we don't use it or use it incorrectly, we have to give it back. So right now it's a liability to us. It's going to sit on the balance sheet. Then at the end of each year, we can assess how much of that money we used, and then we'll recognize the revenue over time. The good news is this time next year, I'll be saying the exact same thing because we're going to get another 1.7 million next year. So it's great. And the nice thing is we're not in a huge rush to spend it. We have 4 years. And it's not even the money has to be out the door. You can be engaged in a project at the end of the 4 years that the money can go out the door. It's almost like encumbering it at the end of the 4 years, saying this is where the money's going to go, and that's acceptable. So we get even a little bit more time than 4 years to come up with a game plan and spend it properly.
So we'll be able to report back to what the parameters are for usage.
Yep.
Requirements or-
So
Yep.
the feds have, it's a moving target. I mean, they haven't quite they haven't completed the guidelines, but in my conversations with Steve and John, we're going to spend the money wisely. And it'll definitely benefit the township. And I think once the residents see that, the board will see it first.
Right.
And, but we're taking it very seriously. We're not just spending the money.
But as of right now, there's no requirement for the federal government that you have to use it for, or
Nope.
income tax loss, you have to use it for.
So one of the big things is it will be making up for lost revenues. So the guidance I've seen so far is you start with your 2019 total revenue. It's not line item by line item. It's your overall revenue. And you can increase it by 4.1% every year. And then you look at what you brought in that year with a few reconciling items. And if you didn't bring in that much, then you can use the money, which is good because it's just taking money in and not actually expending it out. It's just releasing it from the restrictions that were having as a liability.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll certainly work within the guidelines, but I think everyone will be pleased with some of the plans that Steve and John are coming up with. So,
Yep, that'll definitely be interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
John, thank you for all the
Thanks,
great
John.
news. We
Oh, no
really,
problem.
really
Thank you.
Great.
appreciate it.
Nice to see you tonight.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Okay,
If I can just make one quick comment, Mr. Chairman?
absolutely.
You know, our long-term goal with this money is, as the chairman just mentioned, is to spend it wisely so that we can have a positive impact on the community for many, many years to come, not just something of a one-hit wonder. We want to really take care of infrastructure, things that will have a long-term positive impact on the community, and that's what because all of the people that are sitting in this room know about infrastructure. That is going to be one of the things that we focus on, and to make sure that we engage our engineer in that process and the board in that process and all of the stakeholders so that we use it and can show that we've had this big long-term impact. That's the key.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
you're welcome. It's not a windfall just to spend. It'll have a purpose. It'll be designed for a long-term benefit to the community. So hopefully we will follow that course, and as long as I sit in this chair, we will follow that course. Thank you, Steve. Okay. What are we up to now? Land use.
Or if you would like, Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you would like to bring in, we've experienced the problems with the trash, and we have Mr. DeGennaro, or did you want to do that at a different point?
We could do that now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's board of, well, that'll be under public comment.
Would you like me to introduce it?
Yeah, we have, well, no, I can do that. Um, Yeah, I know. Sorry. That's what I was asking. Okay, so we have a couple people here from Mascaro because I know that the township's been taking some calls, quite a few calls, and I've been getting some emails, quite a few emails about some difficulties, and we wanted to give Mascaro the opportunity. I have Sam and Al DeGennaro here. Sam, I'm sorry, I can't remember your last name. Augustine, that's right. Forgive me. They've been talking with Steve and Catherine and been trying to work things out, and we'll give them an opportunity to talk to the residents.
Sammy's the bad cop. How did you forget Sammy's last name?
I don't know.
Well,
Senior moment.
good evening, Chairman Hayes, members of the board. Thank you. I'm Al DeGennaro. As you know, I'm Deputy General Counsel for the company. I've been with the company over 30 years. Sam Augustine has been with the company over 40 years. I know we don't look that old, but between the two of us, we've got 70 years experience, and I can tell you that in our combined 70 years of experience, we've never seen anything like this. You know, at the outset, I want to tell you that we certainly value our relationship with Warminster Township. We've been your contracted hauler since 1994, and I think before 16, 18 months ago, the pandemic hit, I'd like to think that we had a good service record, and you as elected officials as well as your residents appreciated that. Frankly, we're embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed to be here tonight to talk to you about our service level and what's been going on. Much of it is not our fault, but that's no consolation. We're proud of our reputation. It's a family business, and so we see people in the community, and we have family members in our company. And the late J.P. Mascaro Sr. started a motto, if it services us, and we really take pride in the fact that when you write a check and pay your bill to us, it comes to us in Montgomery County. The money stays here, and we like to participate in the communities. I know we participate in White Marsh, so it's not fun to be subject to what we've been subject to these last 18 months, nor have you. But we're embarrassed because you expect good service, you pay for good service, and we have been providing you with that. I'm not here to make excuses. I just want to talk to you about a couple things, as does Sam. I'm sure in all of your lives, this pandemic has turned things upside down, and it's done so for us. We thought we had turned the corner with the vaccines and everything, but I'm here to tell you that I don't know if it's worse now than it was last summer, but the labor shortage is a real problem for us. We can't get enough people to come to work every day, and we can't attract new people, and it's no consolation that everybody in our industry is experiencing that. I'll let Sam talk to you about that, but it's a problem for us. Everyone staying at home, or the majority of people staying home, has created volumes for us about 20 to 25% more. So when you add the fact that what normally was a route of, just use an example, 10 tons is now 12 tons, and you don't have the same kind of workforce you've had as you previously had, it's just a double whammy. It adds more trouble for us. So that's a problem for us, and getting good quality employees to stay with us. These jobs are set up to be 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. Sometimes it can be 10 or 12. There's a period of time where it can be 10 or 12. There's a period of time that can be 5 or 6, but it's taking us too long to complete these routes, and we're not happy about that. At a minimum, we tried to come up with a contingency plan because we know, and as well as you folks know, I've been interacting with some of you, your township staff, that there are days that we couldn't staff all the routes. And what we wanted to do was, I think we started this last summer. We thought we were beyond it come January, and we're back at it again. But we know your residents are frustrated when they put their trash up. You know, we have 4 trash trucks on Monday and Tuesday, and 2 recycle trucks on Monday and Tuesday. So we have 6 pieces of equipment here on Monday and Tuesday, which means we need 6 crews. And there have been days where we haven't been able to send in 6 crews, and we're not happy about that, but it's just a reality. So, and on Wednesdays, we have the yard waste. We have a yard waste crew every day, so there's really 7 crews Monday and Tuesday. On Thursday and Friday, your second collection day, it's a little lighter for us, so we have 3 trash crews and 2 recycle crews. So those 2 days, we have 6 crews and 6 crews. And what we proposed and thought we were able to keep up with it is at least let your residents know that if they put their trash out on Mondays and we didn't get it on Mondays, not to call you, that we have a contingency plan that they would know to keep it out there another night and we would get it on Tuesday. That was the plan. Hasn't always happened that way. And the yard waste has been a challenge for us as well. But the contingency plan that we set up was the most important thing is we wanted to get trash up. Certainly from a health, welfare, and sanitary standpoint, we need to get your trash up. So if we didn't get it up the day it was collected or supposed to be collected, at least we wanted to try to get it the next day. That was the number one priority. Recyclables were second. If we couldn't get your recyclables the day, we wanted to get them the second day. Yard waste, I'm not making light of yard waste, but we didn't think it would be the end of the world if yard waste had to sit for a couple of days because it's not like decaying trash. I know your neighbors aren't happy about it. We wanted to try to get it, but that would be the last thing we would try to get. So that was our plan, and that's what we embarked upon to do. Hasn't always worked out that way. So as we speak here today, and it's not from a lack of commitment. The company's spent significant additional resources. When COVID first started, we were buying our employees lunch for 6-8 weeks at a time so they wouldn't have to stop on the route, wouldn't have to go in Wawa, could stay on it. Contract tracing, people off, it just caused problems for us. The last 2 days have been the best, close to the best turnout we've had in about 3 months. And another factor is, and I'm not happy to tell you, but I think it's a factor, is that right now, with the additional unemployment benefits, some of the typical people that we might attract, at least on the backs of trucks, are choosing to stay home and collect those additional benefits rather than come to work. So that's a little bit of a challenge for us. That ends, I believe, on September 3rd, and I just saw where the state is at least saying if you're on unemployment, and I'm not disparaging anybody that's truly out of work, but we certainly have jobs available for able-bodied men and women that want to come to work. But at least I see now where the state has said that if you're on unemployment, it's not no fault anymore. You've got to take certain steps during the week to at least show you're making effort. So I'm here to tell you that we're embarrassed about the service. I'm going to let Sam talk a little bit about what we're seeing additionally in our industry. And we want to commit and complete this contingency program. We've given it to you on your website. Look, at this point, we're not a nonprofit, but we're not really worried about making profit. We're trying to provide the services that we can provide, and we're looking everywhere and anywhere to hire people. You folks would only know about this. Your residents would only know about this contingency plan probably because if it's up on your website. But it would not be unreasonable or unfair for us to say we're willing to put a little flyer together and show it to you and ship it out to all your residents so they don't have to call you on a Monday if the trash is not picked up because the plan is to get it on Tuesday and vice versa. That's certainly the least we can do. The yard waste is getting lighter, so we think hopefully by September things will turn, but it's just a challenge for us right now. And after Sam talks, no questions unfair. You can ask us whatever you want, but that's where we are. I wanted to give you an update on it. Sam, you want to?
Thanks, Al.
Thank you, Al.
And I brought some of these contingency plans just for you and a booklet as well. I'll just leave them here at the end when we're done, and you folks can take a look at those as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come here tonight. Again, we've been in Warminster quite a long time, and we really appreciate your business and the residents' business. And we appreciate your patience with us over these difficult times. I was an economics major in college. I go all the way back to 1974, and I'm here to tell everybody in this room that when I first came out of college, I went through the gas crisis, okay, where people were waiting in gas lines, and it was one of the most horrible times in this country. And I went through the 80s, and I remember the 2009 crash, and so there was some awful times, economic times in this country. Right now, we're actually in a weird environment with this pandemic. Obviously, last year it was unforeseen, but this year everybody's coming out of this pandemic, and we've seen the economy just boom coming out of this pandemic, and everybody's impatient, and it's very difficult to deal with what we're seeing, and not only in our industry, but in many, many service industries. And, you know, people are coming out of the gate and they expect service, whether it's in grocery stores, whether it's at the Wawa, whether it's in other service businesses, whether it's in restaurants, whether it's in the trash business. And the people just aren't there to serve you. They're just not there to serve you. And the reason they're not there to serve you is that so many people are still on unemployment, and that's going to, and Alan mentioned, it's going to end on September 3rd. I don't think it's going to be magic on September 3rd in terms of what we're dealing with, but I know that there's going to be a big change. Mascaro is a big, strong company. A lot of people in the audience don't know probably much about Mascaro. We're the largest private trash enterprise probably in the United States. We service over 80 communities in eastern Pennsylvania. Warminster is one of the best communities we serve. We service three or four large communities in Bucks County besides Warminster, all the Hamptons and Northampton, three of the largest communities there. All of them are going through the same thing that you are going through, and we just don't have enough labor to take care of what we need to take care of. I want to tell you, we've made some huge investments. We have a hiring office that we set up in Willow Grove that operates daily. It's right on the end of the railroad line coming from Philadelphia. We have 30 to 35 people coming in there every day to come to work. We didn't even have that office 2 years ago. We put that into being last year. We have another office in Pottstown, which was in operation 2 years ago, where people are coming into work. Unfortunately, that's for Berks County. It's not for here. But we have hiring offices all over eastern Pennsylvania where we're trying to get people every day. CDL drivers, as you know, they're really at a premium. Everything is being delivered by truck now. As you know, two and a half years ago, you didn't have to worry. Everybody was going to the grocery store to get their groceries. Now the grocery stores, you know, are using trucking. Amazon everybody's using trucking. So it's hard to find drivers. So we're up against it. I mean, and we apologize for what's going on, but we're up against it. We're working 7 days when it used to take 5 days to pick up trash. Our people are out there working very, very hard. They're working 60-hour weeks. That's all they're allowed to be in a truck, but they're working 60-hour weeks. We're doing everything we possibly can as a company to keep up with the service, and it's going to end. I really believe that September, with the end of this unemployment and the end of free money and the end of all this money that's being thrown around by the federal government, and I don't mind saying this, they're throwing around a lot of money, and it's not pushing people out there to work, and we believe it's all going to end come September. That's the cutoff date. So we're here to answer any questions you have as a board, and I'll stop there. Any questions you have about what's going on in Warminster or what else is going on in the trash industry, because we're not the only ones. Waste Management is having trouble all over. They just published an apology to all their customers in eastern Pennsylvania for the same reasons. Republic's having trouble. I know Whitetail has a lot of homes outside of Warminster Township that are not getting picked up. I've heard that. So I guess misery loves company. So again, anybody from the board has any questions? There's no unfair questions. Please ask them.
Sam, I have a question.
Sure.
I received phone calls from some of our residents.
Yes.
And the biggest complaints I'm hearing, as they understand, you know, the trash industry, that there is all the way around, like you
Right.
said, all the companies are having
Right.
the same issues.
Right.
And like you said, if people were aware, okay, if you didn't get your pickup on Monday, we'll come Tuesday, they'd
Right.
be all right with that. It was the communication that was the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
And the fact that they emailed Mascaro or
Yes.
called and were
Right.
not getting any response.
And shame on us, because
So that's what's the problem.
that's the easiest thing to do, and I appreciate that question, Catherine. That's the easiest thing to do, is for the office to transmit, you know, or get back to people with emails, okay? And even our office workers are sometimes not up to snuff on what they should be doing, because communication is the easiest thing you can do. They're not the ones out in the 95-degree heat trying to pick up trash. And so the communication has to be better when people are we're calling into our office, and the dispatchers have to be better as to when the trash is going to be picked up. If we're not picking up Monday, that's what this communication is supposed to be helping with, that the trash is supposed to be picked up on the next day. Recycling is supposed to be picked up on the next day if it's not picked up that day, okay? And of course, too, there, you know, with different drivers in the truck, if a driver doesn't show up, then we miss pickup. Somebody will miss a street, somebody will miss this. And that's where the office has to come before and pick up these calls and get out there and make sure that these people are picked up. Because it does become frustrating, seeing your trash sit out there, okay, not being attended to. That becomes very frustrating. So I can understand that.
Sam, to follow up on that.
Yes.
So, people call the Township building,
Yes,
we're, you know, we're a little understaffed and they're a little
Right.
overwhelmed at this point,
Yes.
so what that adds an extra step.
burden.
Well, they call the Township and then
Yeah.
we call you and
Yes,
then,
yes.
so is there a way we can circumvent that where they can directly call you, and email you, and then it seems that we're the middleman here.
Yeah.
Taking all the heat.
Well, generally, Ken, when we publish our original document that comes out to the township with the new contract, okay? That circular that went out to everybody indicates to call us. It has our number on there, to call us with any problem, okay? Maybe some people are getting frustrated or calling the township directly, okay? Maybe they are calling us. I'm not sure that they aren't. But what we'll do is, this is going to go out, okay? We'll include that in this mailer to everybody, that please call us directly with your, you know, for us to get on it immediately, okay? And I'm sure then if we're not handling, then it you know, that could be why some of it's coming to the township, okay? Try to take some of that burden off your staff.
So you'll do some things internally where folks can get a call
Yes.
back or an
Yes.
email back. And
Yes.
as long as if the communication's there,
Right.
I think people will be understanding.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
And I
so
think,
you're-
by the way, I really believe, and it's true here as is true in many other places, the great majority, I'm talking in the high 90%, are understanding. People are
Yeah.
understanding. They know what's going on. They know how difficult it is out there. People are probably giving out more water and iced tea and everything in this township to some of these workers because of how hot it is and stuff.
do.
Because people are understanding, okay? They really are, so.
Yeah, so you're going to, you guys are planning on sending a communication out to all the residents? Is that what?
Yes, we'll design it. We have an idea what we want to do. I'll work with Steve, your manager, get it over to you, get your comments, and we'll get it out.
Okay.
We don't want to delay. But I neglected to say one thing, which is very important, that you folks have been very, very patient and very reasonable along the way, and I want your residents to know that you haven't been not represented. I've been interacting with the administration. They've been on us about what are we doing, how are we doing, you know, why are we not doing this, and so, you know, we know you're feeling the heat, and your staff is trying to hold our feet to the fire. We just need more feet. That's all there is
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, okay.
Can I ask an operational question? Do you have a supervisor in the township that basically patrols the township to make sure
Yes, yes.
the quadrants
Unfortunately,
are being completed?
That's another great question, Mark. Unfortunately, we have supervisors, but in times like this, it's all hands on deck. So then the supervisors are either getting in the trucks to try to keep up with the load. It's all hands on deck, which really weakens you. It weakens you because you can't. That's why they're supervisors, to try to, so they'll drive and also try to follow up with what's
Make sure
going on.
streets aren't missed.
Yes.
That's been a
Yeah.
big problem along
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
day of pickup,
Yeah.
the streets being missed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's been a huge problem.
As you know,
I
you
mean,
guys.
most people are patient and don't
Yeah.
mind waiting a day, even 2
Yeah.
days, that they know you're coming,
Yeah.
but streets being missed, that's,
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing in the complaint department, that's been a big,
Yeah.
just streets
Yeah.
being missed, and that goes back to a supervisor patrolling the township.
Yeah. We got supervisors that have been with us for years, worked their weight in gold. You know Will's been working in this township for years. These guys, they know every street,
Right.
but they're 70 hours a week, these guys. It's tough. It's tough.
So I have a question. So this communication that you're going to send out is going to have an email and a phone number?
Yes.
So will this be, will this phone number be a live person answering this call?
Yes, yes, these are live.
It's like after 6 o'clock.
Sammy's cell phone? Sammy's cell phone?
We'll just have them
A
text
lot
you.
of people have my cell phone. I gotta go upstate to Carbondale on Monday night. So, yeah, a lot of people have my cell phone number.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll leave this information here for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Sam.
much.
Yeah, hopefully things improve.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You bet.
Okay. I guess now we go to land use matters. Land development, Warminster LP sketch plan presentation. So who do we have here tonight, Craig?
I believe the applicant and their professionals are here to do the presentation, so no action is required tonight. It's just simply a presentation, so they're here at my request, actually. They've been working with staff, and we got to a point where we need some input from the board. So I'll turn it over to them for presentations, and then we'll go through the questions, and I'll jump in as needed.
Okay.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Kurt Hutter with Wright Partners. We're the real estate development company on the project. We're based out of Media, PA. I heard the objective of the meeting to keep this short, so we'll try to do that. We only have.
Too late.
I know.
Yeah, we're done.
It's going to be myself and Keith trying to keep this very short, but we just wanted to go through a quick overview of the project. We'll keep it short. Happy to elaborate based upon any questions or feedback you have. I'll start off with just, for everyone's sake, go through the presentation that's on the whiteboard. Just to get everyone a sense of where the development that we're proposing. It's all retail. It's at the, I guess, the sole undeveloped corner of North Norristown Road and Street Road. The property is roughly 24 acres. A little quick background on the property itself. We are the contract buyer of the property. If you're familiar with Christ's Home in the community, they are the legal owners of the property subject to this development being approved and going through. If you're not familiar, and maybe more so for the audience, if you're not familiar with Christ's Home, they were founded in 1903 and have been in Warminster Township since 1907. Their mission is really providing housing programs and medical care for senior citizens and neglected youth and children, as well as they do have a 16,000 square foot community center that's not only available for their people and their programs, but also to the community at large. So this is an important project for them because the proceeds of the sale not only go to restructure some debt that they have, but also enhance new programs down the line. So that's just a quick background on the project background. This is a bird's eye view of the proposed development, looking, from that southwest view of Norristown Road and Street Road, and you can kind of see, I do have a green laser pointer, kind of outlined here. This is kind of the limits of that 24 acres. And the project, very simply, is 4 retail buildings that total in aggregate approximately 50,000 square feet. To give you some frame of reference of what 50,000 square feet of retail is like, directly across the street, the ShopRite Center is roughly 300,000 square feet, and next door to that, the Giant Shopping Center is roughly 300,000 square feet. So it's on scale of what's already on Street Road and what you might be familiar with. It's obviously much smaller in scale than what's there. The land masses, however, are very similar. We're 24 acres, and I scaled those off at roughly 30 acres approximately. So kind of gives you an idea. Out of that 24 acres, we are proposing a contiguous open space mass of more than 50%. So about 12.5 acres, kind of as you see in these trees back here, of the 24 acres is going to be remaining as open space. If you add up the other green areas, we're over 15 acres, over 15.5 acres of total green space compared to the 24 acres total. Keith is going to get into a lot of the details of the site plan itself, but really roughly, we're very excited that the project is anchored by Sprouts Farmers Market, and I'll come back in a second about Sprouts, but also the other three buildings. We have a small building, we'll call it to the I guess south. That would be south on Street Road. A second building which is a combination of gas, convenience, and also restaurant. It's kind of a multiple use building. And then finally, a building proposed around 16,000 square feet for multiple tenants, retail. So again, you add up all the square footage of everything, it's roughly 50,000 square feet, with the Sprouts Farmers Market being about 24,000 square feet. Sprouts, if you're not familiar with Sprouts Farmers Market, they're new and have an aggressive growth plan in Pennsylvania, but they are nationwide. They have over 360 locations in 23 states. This is an effort for them to come into PA. They do have a store recently opened on Welsh Road in Dresher that you can go visit if you want to see what Sprouts is all about.
Visiting it right now.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with them, their stores, as I mentioned, are about 24,000 square feet. For example, an average Giant is about 45,000 square feet. So they're more of a niche boutique type of grocer. Their specialty in the market is organic and natural foods, so that they fit a certain use and demographic. That's obviously, they want to be here. We do have an executed lease, so it's not contingent upon, they are in on this project, they want to be here. Obviously, it's contingent upon approvals, but it is a done deal with them. Some of the competitors for them and who they compete with compared to Whole Foods, Fresh Market, Trader Joe's, to name some. I would also encourage you to go to their website, because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on their community service outside of the great product that they are them by themselves, but they are very much into community service, donations, volunteer work in the community, and educational events. So again, visit the store in Dresher, and please visit their website to see what they're all about. Besides that, the multi-tenant building that I mentioned here, we're really holding and want to deliver a destination type dining experience. We don't have a lease with anybody yet, but we're really holding this corner here to be a destination dining experience for the community. What that means is inside dining, outside dining, in a more casual but upscale point of view. And again, these are just names. These are not, hey, we have a side deal with any of these entities. But an Iron Hill, if you're familiar with Brick and Brew, a Seasons 52, some of the restaurants down in King of Prussia or in Doylestown, things like that. We are committed to. We want to really, obviously, Sprouts is the anchor, but we feel as this would be a great complement to the center and to the community. Besides the tenant mix, which we're very excited about, I want to run through some of what we want to push this retail development above and beyond maybe what's required, and elevate the project itself. We want to incorporate a cohesive architectural design. We've hired a firm out of Baltimore called BCT Design Group, sorry, and they do national project work locally in the greater Philadelphia area, Ellis Preserve down in Newtown Square. They've worked on in King of Prussia on the Village of Valley Forge, where the Wegmans is. Now, this certainly is not the intensity of that, but some great projects that they're very diverse. What we want to incorporate is enhanced landscaping, hardscaping, amenities, placemaking into the overall design, meaning it's more than just concrete and asphalt. It's a place where you can go relax and kind of be a destination. It's not a huge project in the scale, if you look across the street, but we want to incorporate these things to set us apart from some of the other retail centers in the area.
Did I hear you mention gas?
Yes, there is a proposed gas convenience store. So see this little leg right here. This is an extension, a proposed extension of South Norristown Road, which comes into a traffic light. So we were proposing to put in a fourth leg of that traffic signal into the development. And immediately on the right would be a gas convenience store. And I mentioned multiple uses. They actually have a restaurant component built into it. So some sit-down dining, small, and we can get into that detail later. But I kind of want to go through just some visionary inspiration type slides on what we're looking at, so you can get a sense of what we're thinking about. This is the Sprouts itself. This is the Sprouts elevation and interior of a typical Sprouts. But we kind of get into the vision of what we're looking to do architecturally, as well as the placemaking, the hardscaping, the landscaping. And again, these are a lot of the projects that BCT Design Group have worked on. These are not specific, nor are there specific tenants for this project. I want to make sure I emphasize that. You see a Starbucks there. We recognize there's a Starbucks right up at the corner. So, but these type of approaches on, again, landscaping, hardscaping, outside dining, it's very important, and we're going to include this in the project itself. Not going through a whole lot of detail, but or descriptions, but you kind of get a sense of, hey, it's a place that's relaxing, place you want to go be, have a nice dinner, or just and then also visit the other retail tenants in the project. Again, not specific. We don't know if we're going to have a roof deck on one of the buildings, but this kind of idea. This is that Ellis Preserve project that I mentioned that BCT worked on in Newtown Square. There's and kind of a little bit on the outdoor dining thought process. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith to kind of run through the site plan, but I can come back if you have questions later.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah, I don't know if you know
Not yet.
hit that again. Hit it multiple times. And below that's the,
All right, sounds good. All right. Thanks, Kurt. Keith Otis from Langen Engineering here on behalf of the applicant, Wright Partners. So I'm going to try, just in the interest of time, to speed things up here, not go over too much of what Kurt had mentioned already. So I'm just going to step through the plan. He's given us, obviously, oriented us to the site and given us the location. But just to reiterate, I'm just going to step through the buildings. Plan north is generally plan up here, so I'm just going to go from west to east. This building right here, the first building, what we refer to as Building A, is the restaurant with a drive-through. The second building in the middle here, Building B, that's what Mr. Huddard mentioned, is the convenience with gas. There'll be additional services inside of that building, as well as he mentioned restaurant inside, a very small portion of it, tenant to be determined on that level. And then Building C is the next building over right there. That, again, as he mentioned, looking for more of upscale dining type of experience in that building. That's the intention there. And the anchor up in the top right-hand corner there, that's Building D on the plan. That's the Sprouts. So just from real high level, again, we've developed this concept plan. We've gone through the zoning code. We haven't got into any detailed engineering design at this point, but the plan complies with the bulk requirements of the C1 zone. That's the zone that it's in. The intention is to subdivide this parcel into individual lots with individual uses. And parking requirements, those are met as far as the parking requirements for those specific uses within the code. And as you can see, Mr. Hutter started to allude to it, but there's it's a little hard to see on the plan here, but the main point of access that he mentioned first was the intersection of Street Road and South Norristown Road. That would be the full movement signalized access as we go to the east. Right there, coming into the convenience store with gas, there is a dedicated right-in, and then up at the northwest corner, right at the Sprouts, there would be a full movement driveway off of Norristown Road into and out of the site to access the sprouts. There is generally, as you can see here, if I can trace it, but from Street Road in through the site all the way up through the sprouts and into the sprouts area, there's sort of a loop road through the site that provides better access, circulation, enhances just the overall queuing capacity within the site to take cars off the road and into the development. Obviously, since Street Road is a state route that permitting would have to go through PennDOT. A scoping application had been submitted a while ago to PennDOT. The township was copied on that. HOP plans, highway occupancy permit plans, roadway design has not been completed yet. However, the plan does show some level of widening, mostly along the frontage here on Street Road to get the proper right-hand turn lanes into the site. No other dialogue with PennDOT has been had. But like I said, right now we're just in the preliminary stages trying to just assess the township's view of the project in general. Regarding stormwater management, like I said before, there's not much been done engineering-wise, but there's some areas, they're a little hard to see on the plan, but given the fact that the plan complies with the required buffering, there is significant setback requirements for parking and not just the buildings, but also parking along Street Road and North Norristown Road. There's plenty of room for stormwater, and as you can see in some of the more recent developments along Street Road, it's been a good addition to the project to be able to fit in some of those features along those buffer areas in addition to the landscaping. So you can sort of tell they're kind of a yellowish color on the plan as you follow me from west to east here and here, and also along the frontage of the sprouts. And then in the rear of the sprouts, there's ample room for stormwater management. Obviously, it's got to be designed. Infiltration, typical infiltration basins would be the approach. But again, those haven't been designed yet at this point. I'm going to scroll down to the next plan here. There is a creek in the rear of the property. It follows this area I'm pointing at with the pointer right now to the northwest of the project. There are wetlands in those areas, and there are prohibitions of displacing wetlands in portions of the township ordinances, that the subdivision and land development ordinance. The intention for the project is, you can see the yellow areas here I'm pointing to, those are wetlands that would be displaced. But the intention for the plan is to replace those wetlands along the stream corridor. There actually would be in a more proper location for those features to be along the corridor of the stream itself. But the plan is to replace those wetlands at a 2-to-1 ratio. And the applicants already had discussions with the DEP and Army Corps regarding replacing those wetlands. There are 2 potential variances that the project may need. We would like to discuss those in more detail with the zoning officer. One is regarding the size of the fuel station building. Right now, the proposal is for an 8,260 square foot building where 5,000 is permitted. We're still not sure about the exact definition of that particular store as it relates to the ordinance. Again, we'd like to discuss that with the zoning officer offline. And then the other one was just drive-throughs for convenience items under that use classification for convenience with gas or motor vehicle fueling station not being permitted. We do want to discuss those, but those are the 2 items. We did revise this plan significantly after we got some feedback from the township at one point, and we feel that there's just those 2 items right now, in addition to some relief on the natural features displacing the wetlands, some riparian buffer impacts that are within the saldo. That generally concludes my part of the presentation. So,
Keith, let me interrupt. Can you run
Sure.
through the waivers, because although they're not zoning related, they're significant as far as natural resources?
Yeah.
And I know there's concerns on the board about protection of natural resources. So why don't you just run through those couple waivers right now that you anticipate?
Right, and thanks for that, Craig. And one thing I would note is that since the site hasn't been fully graded yet, so we don't know the exact extent of those impacts, but I'll go through them just from a standpoint of what we've identified so far. So the first waiver would be from section 22-6022.2C. It's a maximum of maximum disturbance of slopes 15% to, greater than 25%. The limit is about 15%. We feel that the development just after it's graded will exceed the maximum disturbance of steep slopes. The next two sections are section 22-602 3A and 22-602 3B with respect to woodland disturbance limits. Again, I don't have the exact numbers because it hasn't been designed yet, but that's one other section. The next section is section 22-6024 that prohibits disturbance of wetlands and streams. Basically, for that one, it would just be, as I mentioned before, for the displacement of the existing wetlands to permit the project with the intention, the applicant's intention is to replace those at 2 to 1. Section 22-602-8B and 22-602-8C. That was, as I mentioned before, a prohibition on land disturbance within riparian buffers. We would be looking at the Zone 2, which is 100 to 150 foot from the stream bank, so we wouldn't be getting into what's considered Zone 1, which is the first 50 feet. And those are the waivers we've identified so far, with like I said, without fully engineering the plan.
Open up for questions? Okay. I have some serious concerns where the project, I mean, the stores that you want to propose, and it's beautiful. It looks really beautiful. I guess in addition to the natural resource issues that we're concerned about, I'm concerned about the proximity that the retail stores are to the schools that are down the street. And if we had any security situations or anything where police are called or whatever, I'm concerned about the children in those schools, to be honest with you. Because of the retail stores across the street, we have police that come because of attempted robberies, things that happen in a parking lot, what have you. I don't want there to be any problem with the kids that are in the school down the street from those particular storefronts. So that's one of the concerns I have. Craig, do you have any additional concerns that you'd like to discuss this time?
Well, I have one,
Engineering?
if I may.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's good. They're here to hear. They've heard a lot from me.
I'm sure.
A lot.
Okay.
They have reviews from all the professional staff, planners, traffic engineers. So that's important. I think just we don't need to argue every single point. I think they need to hear your feedback, and then I'll chime in towards the end here.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have much other than I have some serious issues with the waivers for the riparian zones and the wetlands disturbance. I'd like to see a by right plan, quite honestly, if we could.
I'll comment.
Yeah, I mean, waivers, especially for riparian and wetlands, I take some issue with that. So you guys might want to go back to the drawing board and work with Craig. But ultimately, by right would be what I'd like to see.
Yeah, it is a challenging project without some of these waivers. I won't get into a whole lot of details. Besides convenience for customers, there is a truck circulation route that, Sprouts has 1 or 2 deliveries a day, but right now they need that spine road for truck circulation. There may be a solution from a truck circulation route. There's also then just becomes economics of the deal. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, may I?
Certainly.
I know you have to deal with PennDOT along Street Road, but Norristown Road is already a narrow road with heavy traffic volume, and it's about to get a lot more traffic volume when that Caddis project up the other end is completed. I mean, what are we doing for traffic improvement along there, or what can be done? I mean, there's already a narrow turn lane there. I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to put a decel lane. I mean, we're move down the road here as you move through the process, but one of my main concerns is we're gonna put a heck of a lot more traffic on that road very soon.
Sure. The applicant does have a traffic engineer on board, but that's something that'll be worked through in land
We're gonna
development.
have to see a
with-
traffic study.
Right, of course, of course.
And that's when the Caddis project is
Right.
complete, because it's gonna put a lot more traffic
Right.
on that road, and that project's not complete yet.
Right, and typical PennDOT, they do make the applicant go and find projects that are underway to factor
Right.
those into the
Right.
background traffic,
Right.
and that's something that'll be done through the HOP
Because
process.
when school lets out, that the school's next door, it's a
Right.
traffic problem there daily to begin with.
Exactly.
And this
Understood.
is gonna really add to it.
Sure.
The good news is we have, as you see,
Another
a fair
egress,
amount
right.
of frontage.
Right.
And we could do a lot of the work in terms of widening on our side. This
Right.
can,
Right.
whether it's a left turn lane into our site, whether it doesn't want to exist, doesn't exist now, or
Right.
widening, right turn lanes as
'Cause
you
I
approach
just-
Street
'cause
Road,
I just think
things
that,
like
that corridor of Norristown Road there is gonna need a heck of a lot of
Yeah.
improvement to make something like this work.
Yeah, I don't know the linear frontage, but it's gotta be 500 feet, I don't know.
Yes, I'm concerned too as well with the traffic, with the school right just north of it, and, is there a plan for pavements or anything like that? Pavements along the sides of the road? And you said you're gonna subdivide, are each of those buildings gonna be a subdivision, or what are you subdividing?
Yeah, so each building would be on its own lot. We've designed it in such a way that each building lot within the development, the open space would be subdivided off as its own lot in the rear, and each individual use would be its own lot. And we've looked at that, and they can stand alone and meet the zoning requirements.
What about the land on the other side of the creek,
So-
is that gonna be subdivided? Is that gonna stay,
This would be its own lot, correct?
and is that gonna be subdivided into properties too?
Further subdivided, there's no plan for it now.
No, we could restrict that as open space.
I was going
Gonna-
to, excuse me,
you're
I
gonna
want to interrupt,
restrict
because
it
your
as open
plans say that for
space?
future development, and I know you said open space.
Yeah.
Pictures look great, but the plans call for future development with the road crossing the creek. So I was always told that you were looking at future development, maybe not right away, but I think
No.
you're misleading saying it's open space, or it could be open space and preserved.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was an earlier plan. We've eliminated any potential stream crossing. So,
Okay,
as I mentioned earlier, this plan does not show any future or proposed crossing. I think what you're referencing is there used
Yes.
to be a stub here.
Yeah, so that's
We
removed from.
that from the plan.
Okay, okay.
So, the 20, as I mentioned, 24 acres total, yeah, I'll try to outline the best I can here in green. That is roughly 12 and a half acres of open space.
Okay, okay.
And then you add up all these little other areas, and you get, north of 15, almost 16 acres total of green. But again, the 12 and a half acres, that we can.
And
talk about
as,
in future
I'm
development.
also getting other feedback from everybody, and since I know the plan's a little better, I'll try to speak for some others up here. Pictures look great, but the pump station, if you wanna, the pump stations for the gas pumps are out front. So all the pictures you showed are great, but we're gonna be looking at gas pumps on Street Road, which is a concern, I think, several members up here. Both the buildings on the left have drive-through. You guys did mention that, but you're talking more of a fast food style restaurant on the left with drive-through.
We have no tenant here, and we have no.
I understand you have no tenants. I'm just saying that's what could go in there. I mean, right, and then,
Yes, this shows it fits.
Yeah.
So the building shows a drive-through, a building with a drive-through.
It shows
Correct.
it fits, correct.
Yeah,
But we could have we've had inquiries about that are not fast food. So, someone may want it, for example, an urgent care, things like that. I guess we're just showing here what could fit. In terms of who ends up being a tenant in that particular location, not sure. This is the retail building that I mentioned, that is about 16,000 square feet, where we're targeting on this corner, that destination dining facility with, you can kind of see the brown here is we've reserved a large patio area on the side, but we're also going to, by the time we submit, we'll probably have some excess parking that we can eliminate and then incorporate.
you're
some
heading where I was
additional-
gonna go next.
And incorporate some of that hardscaping, landscaping, place-making type of opportunities. What we're showing here in terms of parking, not knowing the quantity of of restaurants that will take up 16,000 square feet. You know, if the whole thing was restaurants, your code requires 10 spots per thousand, it would be 160 spots, I believe. If it's retail, it requires a lower density of parking. So, you know, we've assumed we're gonna get a good amount of restaurants in there besides the destination, you know, dining facility on the right-hand side. We may get a couple other, you know, more lunch-oriented spots in the building or even breakfast-oriented. But we have to kind of plan as though a good percentage is restaurant use as opposed to just strict retail.
All right, well, does anybody else have any? I might as well.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I have major issues with the supermarket going there so close to the school because of, you know, the tractor trailers going in and out, like you're saying, deliveries once or twice a day.
Correct.
As well as any other outside vendors that would have a truck that would be going in there. So you have all that additional volume of just shipment arriving, not even customers coming in. So then you have all the additional volume of customers coming up and down right by the school. There is a restricted speed limit down there. How much will they abide by it is a question. The other thing is we're putting a restaurant in there that has drive-throughs. We have a couple restaurants that are in Warminster that have very large lines for their drive-through. And that being that close to Straight Road, I have major concerns.
One already spills out on the street road.
Yes.
This one here?
It will.
Yes.
Go out.
Yes. So that'll cause additional traffic that'll build up in there and possibly accidents.
And that's a busy intersection.
Yes.
It's a bad
It's
intersection.
already, yes.
Okay.
There's some traffic issues, and just, you did mention, are you done? I'm sorry, Mary Ann.
No, yeah, I'm good.
So, my other question is, you didn't do any stormwater management assessment at all yet?
But just from the standpoint that they're located in areas that we feel that we could get the drainage to, we haven't been sized yet.
And where is it draining?
It drains to the creek in the
To
rear.
the creek in the back?
Right.
Yeah, that's not high on the list, right? They got some other hurdles to go through.
Yeah, I know,
but-
there's a lot
and
of
I'm
hurdles there,
confident
but
with storm.
that'll be a hurdle as well.
Yeah, I mean, this board's very concerned about stormwater, and we'll get to that point probably later.
This town's full of flooded areas that we're trying to correct, and mandated to correct. So, that has to be addressed as well.
Right, and it could be
I mean, just to drain it into the creek, you're gonna have to buffer it, you're gonna have to, maybe some infiltration. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I'm just saying that this town has a lot of stormwater issues, and I don't want to add another one.
Yeah, and that's, it's a great point, and whether it's a combination of underground stormwater retention in addition to the above-ground features, that's something that'll all get worked through as we go through the design.
Okay.
I'll try to summarize a little bit. They did make some significant changes from staff comments and reviews. They knew they were going to have some variances. I cautioned them that obviously all zoning hearing board applications come before you. Staff weighs in on it as far as opposing that. Obviously, they wanted to meet you, go over everything with the hopes of you not opposing their applications at a later date. I think they're pretty much ready to go on that. Based on the feedback I'm hearing, I heard by right plan, they have some decisions to make. I don't think the plan and what they want is gonna look a lot different, unless they actually go with a by right. So, I guess, you know, again, the next step is for them to decide to move forward with the zoning hearing board application, and then you, will have a decision to make, you know, how different it looks after tonight, or if, they chose the by right plan. It will look different. I don't think you'll end up with the same type of layout and user, so that might not meet their goals, but I think we gave them good feedback, and that's what I was hoping tonight.
Just want to reiterate what Judy had said a few minutes ago. It's really important that we get, if this were to come to fruition, by right or whatever, sidewalk along Norristown Road. There's an elementary
Right.
school and a middle school.
We've got two
Right there.
schools.
There's an ADA corner to nowhere there right now.
It's on the plan, it's on the plan.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yep.
asking.
I mean, just to double back on one comment there, on variances and waivers and going in front of the zoning hearing board. We're not 100% certain we need to go to the zoning hearing board, as Keith mentioned, we want to talk to the zoning officer. it's kind of an odd situation for the two variances that may be necessary, in that this building, if it was strictly gas convenience, has a limit of 5,000 square feet and not allowed a drive-through. But it's really a multiple use building in that there's a restaurant integrated into a gas convenience store. So it's the drive-through itself is not like, hey, I'm going to the convenience store and I want a pack of cigarettes and buy me a pack of gum on aisle 3. It's whatever, for example, they partner with a lot of national chains such as a Starbucks. So the drive-through would be for the Starbucks use, for example, by itself. Now again, Starbucks is right up the road, so that's not gonna go here, but that's the type strictly of what that drive-through would be. So it's a drive-through not for gas convenience, it's a drive-through the restaurant component, and it's also the restaurant component that's pushing this over 5,000 square feet. So it's kind of an odd question, is it really a zoning variance or not? Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, we do a lot of these reviews we work with the engineer, and when you get a one-page sketch plan like you have, and I get a 6-page letter from Gilmore with things, it's never a great thing, so I would just from my past experience with working with them for the last 10 years, that would be my only comment. Thank you.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing more.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. Public comment. Our tax collector, Barbara Loftus.
All right.
Come on up.
Thank you very much. Bobby Loftus, Warminster Tax Collector. I have 4 items to discuss tonight, so I will try to be really fast because I don't go over my 3 minutes. The first is taxes. As you all know, I sent out a little over 10,400 bills. As of today, we have 199 left. That is phenomenal. The residents have really answered the call. And I have never in my 22 years, normally when I send out the final notices in November, I have 500.
Yeah.
And I'm getting some every day. So we're really doing well with it. The interim bills are the same. A lot of the new people don't understand the interim bills, so it takes a lot to go through it. The second thing is Keystone. I am not Keystone. Apparently this week, Keystone sent out some very nasty letters. I haven't seen them. I've only heard about them. It would be beneficial if I know when they're going out so that I'm a little bit more prepared. Because they're calling, yelling, and screaming at me. My mortgage company pays it, and I'm saying, I didn't send you any letters. So if something like that goes out, it would at least give me a heads up. Third thing is mascara. You think you get the phone calls? I get more. I bill them, so I should have the answers. So I stopped them tonight and said, I have no communication with you guys, none whatsoever. And his answer was, well, we don't know who you are.
Really?
And why would you get any phone calls?
Just about everyone in Warminster
Right,
knows
we
who you
all
are.
know you.
You're a legend, a living legend.
And he said, I don't understand why you get them. I said, I bill them.
Right.
They're going to call me because they call Mascara, they don't answer, they don't call them back, so they call yelling and screaming at me. So hopefully, I'll get some communications.
Okay.
The third thing, and this is extremely, extremely important. With the economy the way it is, numerous people are doing refis, which is wonderful because the interest rate is so low. What they don't understand is if you have a credit union that is now going to do your taxes, it's not like a mortgage company. Mortgage companies come to me and ask for duplicate bills. Credit unions do not. So when you get the bill from me, you must forward it to your credit union. And I found this out last week when a very big credit union that I deal with, who is very, very nice, paid 38 township bills in penalty because the residents wouldn't send them their bill. So if you have Police and Fire Credit Union, Truemark, any of the credit unions, you must send them the bill because they won't ask for it. They're a credit union, they're not a mortgage company.
That's good information, Bobby. Can we
Yeah.
post it up on our website,
Can we
Steve?
put that on our website?
Yeah.
So at least-
So, I mean, I felt bad for these people, and one person who I happened to works for the township, I called them and said, hey, your taxes aren't paid. You always pay them. And that's when he said, I have such and such.
Wow.
And I said, did you send them the bill? And he said, no, I don't have to. Yeah, you do.
Right.
So it is, and then they called me and said that they had 48 of them that weren't paid. So I feel bad because those people paid 10% penalty and lost the 2% discount.
Right.
So it's very, very important,
Okay.
okay?
We'll try to get that word out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby.
And it's not just in Warminster. I've talked to tax collectors in other townships, and it's going, you know, through more, they don't work the same as a mortgage company.
Right.
You know, and they want the bill.
Okay.
So, okay?
Thank you, and thanks to
Thank
the
you.
residents.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
John,
John?
come on down.
Hello, it's great to be back.
Hi, John, nice to
John
see you.
Priobus, 674 Joseph Avenue. I want to bring something to the board's attention. It might make it a little easier when you're doing planning for these properties that are coming up. We have a situation with our current administration with the automotive industry. The Chrysler Corporation just announced about a couple weeks ago, in 2025, 40% of the vehicles they produce will be electric vehicles. So, in that being said, going forward, you guys need to make plans to put electric charging stations all over this township because they're not going to have enough places for these people to go in and charge their vehicles. You have a situation here where they're going to have a little convenience store or restaurant type thing. That works out really good because what happens is it takes on a quick charge on an electric car, it's going to be a minimum of 2 hours. So therefore, they're going to come in there, they're going to park their car, plug it in, go in, do a little shopping, and come out and their car's going to be charged again. I'm not saying every car that's going to run down the road that is electric is going to need to stop every time. They say they go 200 miles, roughly 200 miles on a charge. You look at it this way, if you go from here to the shore and back, you're empty. So you're going to need places to put these charging stations, whether it's in shopping centers like this or, you know, you're going to, areas that, like in the park, we put one in the park, so people can have access to them. The charging stations are going to be set up, and it's my understanding, I've been looking into it a little bit, that they're going to have companies that are going to monitor them. You're going to pull in, you're going to slide your credit card into the machine, and you're going to pay for the electricity for the 2 hours, charge the vehicle. The company's then going to turn around, and whoever is the property owner, whoever contracts with them, is going to get a percentage of the maintenance and the charging fee. So there's a whole new industry coming involved with the electric cars. We need to take steps now so we can be prepared for the future, and it's coming quick. 3-4 more years down the road, we're going to have a lot of these cars on the road. People are going to buy them. The government's forcing us to step up and take them, and the manufacturers got plenty of money from the government to build and do the research. Tesla's been doing it for a long time. The government gave them plenty of money. A lot of that seed money is trickling into Ford and Chrysler and General Motors. And a lot of the import car companies have them already, and they're just going to extend and go right into it. So just keep in mind that we're looking at one manufacturer is saying 40% of all the vehicles will be electric. So therefore, we're going to need places, because you're not going to have the convenience of pulling into your gas station and for 2 minutes filling up and getting on your merry way. You're going to need to stop somewhere, and you're going to have to park it for 2 hours to get a quick charge. A full charge is an overnight deal. So most of the people have them at their house. They'll plug them in at their house. But these stations are going to have to be put all over the place. The state, I think, already has locations of charging stations that are around that people can go on and find out where the stations are at so they can plug in. And the way the GPSs and the TV screens in the cars are set up, they'll also have it in there where's the closest one to you. And then you'll be able to go, pull in, charge, and then go about your way. So that's something we're gonna have to look forward to. It's something that was overlooked. And of course, because I'm in the car business, I understand it. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. So we can do and make some changes down the road.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
By the way, not only is it Chrysler, because when I was on the Environmental Advisory Council, PICO came in, and Ford, General Motors, and I believe it was Toyota, came to them and said they need to build their infrastructure out because they are not going to produce any combustion engines
Right.
in
That's
by
where we're headed.
2030, I think it was.
Well, you see Ford has it now with
So, yeah.
the Mustangs.
So that's a good point, John.
There's
We
a
should
lot of
plan
things,
for
so
the
we gotta
future.
make sure we keep in mind down the road, and I asked him to stay, so he could hear that, so he can maybe work with you guys and do that. I
Right.
think it's important, if you're gonna have a gas station there, maybe we should have some charging stations in there as well.
Good point,
Okay, so
John.
we can,
That's a great
we
idea.
could use the double use out of it,
Thanks
okay?
Again.
Thank you.
Who's next? Bob?
How's everybody doing? Good to see
Alright.
everybody.
Yeah.
Same here.
Happy health. Bob Welsh, Howell Avenue, Warminster, PA. I wanted to talk about the signals, the traffic signals in the township. I noticed that a lot of them have been changed as far as the timing on them, especially at Mearns and Street Road. I lived in that area for over 20 years. It's a very dangerous intersection. A lot of accidents happen there. Since I've been there, 20 years, like I said, when you come up to try to make a left-hand turn on the Mearns, there's a left-hand turn signal there. It always turns green when the light turns green, but now it doesn't. Sometimes it does, most of the time it doesn't. So what's happening now is that left turn signal is backing up almost to Wawa. So now what people are doing, they're cutting through CVS. So they're cutting through CVS to go over to Mearns and come out on the Mearns. Now you got CVS, Wawa, the beer store, the 7-Eleven. It's just, it's a crazy intersection and it's getting dangerous. So I would ask that they could look into the timing on that light, especially amongst the other ones in the township. I know the idea is to try to get the flow down Street Road to make it work better and get from one end to the other. I get that, but I think this is causing a danger. I don't think CVS should be used. I think it is illegal to even use the parking lot to make a turn if you got a red light. And also coming the other way, if you're coming out of Mearns in the morning trying to make a left, the light turns green and only 2 cars can get through. I don't think that's sufficient. I think it needs to be reevaluated, and I appreciate it if that could be looked at.
Or perhaps the traffic signal, the controls are not working correctly, so
It's possible,
so we
but
could call Public Works and ask them to have a look.
yeah, I just think it's, I mean, there've been a lot of accidents there.
Yeah, but it does, but Street Road, but PennDOT doesn't handle Street Road.
Pete Carter could take a look at that.
Yeah, Pete Carter can look at that. Yeah, we manage that, they have, it's the state highway, but I think we,
Pennsylvania, even though it's a state highway, you own the signals.
Right.
Or
Right.
share some it's
Right.
Steve, we
shared
can have Pete Carter go out and take a look.
yeah, let them have, take a look.
It could be a
Yeah.
default, it could simply be where there was a wire cut or something
Right.
tripped. Or they worked on retiming other signals, and I think they were working on that,
They
so.
were.
So, it's either working, because they wanna have a lot of flow on street.
Right.
And cut down on the turns. There
Or
could be a
it's not.
default,
Right.
but have Public Works first look at it,
Yeah.
and then your traffic engineer get.
Or
involved.
sometimes when an emergency vehicle goes through, then it has to reset, and sometimes it doesn't reset
Calibrate.
properly.
Right, yeah, we'll have a look.
Okay, appreciate it. I
I'm
have
guessing
one
it was a
other-
retiming of Street Road, and either
Right.
they're trying something, or, because they're taking away time to the.
Right,
to the
yeah, I
turns.
get it, yeah.
Yeah.
I have one other question. We have horses, so I want to know, are we allowed to ride horses in the park?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, okay, I
We can
appreciate if
find-
we can
we-
find
you
that
know,
out. That'd be-
Karen Whitney would be the person to speak to about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, you
Let me
got
know,
it.
Bob, let us know how you make out with that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out, right, right.
Signal timings off Street Roads and restaurants.
Pat?
Hi, Pat Boyle, Centennial Station. I have a dumb question. I was driving down Street Road like last weekend, and I noticed that the street sign at Norristown Road is broken, and it's gone. if we're ordering a new street sign, could we get a correct one? There is no South Norristown Road. There is no North Norristown Road. There's Norristown Road southbound and Norristown Road northbound. The same thing with Newtown Road and the other roads where we've done that the signs are wrong,
Okay.
okay?
Sure.
So if we're getting it replaced, could we replace it
Well,
correctly?
we do those in a sign shop, right, Steve?
Yeah.
We do,
We do.
Sign shop.
we are working on those currently, so thank you, and yes, we will look to get it corrected.
Sounds good.
Joe Weaver, how you doing?
All right,
Thank you,
Joe.
I live on Tally Hill Drive, and my backyard is the cemetery. And there's
Oh,
rumors
okay.
going around that somebody wants to develop the property behind us. So we do have a lot of concerns with what's gonna happen there. I've been there 35 years, some 40 years or whatever, and that whole area does flood. They can't cut there because it's so wet. So I'm just concerned, you put up a berm there behind my house 20 years ago, I guess, you put a big berm behind there to keep the water away from us.
Okay.
And now you're gonna put houses behind my house, which is, I'm concerned there with the water flow.
We're not going to put
Yeah,
houses
we're not-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Somebody is, I apologize. Who is it?
I-
I'm thinking that the builder was.
Yeah, it's Toll Brothers.
Toll
And I
Brothers,
was gonna
yes,
give an
correct, Toll
update on the
Brothers.
manager's report,
And,
but
and I don't
You
know.
will see, they're going to planning, tell all your neighbors they're going to planning commission next Tuesday, I believe, 27th. And then, depending on how that goes, which I doubt they'll be coming here, but if it goes well, they'll be coming to see the board, first meeting in August to present their just sketch plan level. They would like feedback from the residents. I said, I'm sure you're gonna get them.
Okay.
And
So this
the
Tues-
number
this-
one thing was stormwater. I had a huge meeting about that with engineers. They're fully aware of it.
Okay.
I know how much flow is coming down there. I know that area well. I told them they get approval if they can solve all stormwater problems in that whole area. And they said they can't, but all joking aside, it's gonna be 45 homes.
We heard of our
Zoning's
homes.
all by right. It's a clean zoning plan. They have been in contact with the staff, and we've done sketch plan reviews, and they actually wanted to come to the planning commission to get input from the residents. So I thought that was good.
So that's next Tuesday, that meeting, you're
Yeah,
saying?
so it'll be back, nothing from the cemetery will change. The cemetery is proposing, I think, a couple accessory structures. They gotta move some things around. They worked out the zoning as far as, there's a 100-foot setback from the grave sites, so they'll honor that. But they'll subdivide off the cemetery. Cemetery have their own entrance. It'll be what they call a P-loop. So it's just
I
not
saw
a
that.
cul-de-sac, but it'll be some 45
P-loop.
homes, all zoning by right lots.
But the other concern there too is you've got that big development on the other side. I'm gonna call it Hankins Field, Hankins Farm, whatever. And all that water is gonna flow into that creek from Horsham into Warminster side. So you've got that whole area of water, who knows where that's gonna go? You put all, I mean, it's townhomes and homes.
Is that North Township?
That's
No.
Horsham.
That's Horsham.
But that creek comes into our development. And that.
Unfortunately,
Go ahead.
I understand that because we represent the other side too, but that I have to keep everything related to that development in Warminster Township at that site. So they're responsible for their area, and the development you just mentioned, that's for another township. There's no,
You have no say in the water that's flowing from Horsham into Warminster?
no, we have our own ordinances they have to follow. They're very stringent on stormwater, so that was probably the biggest part of our engineer meeting, to try to address stormwater. There's also a basin up in the other part, in the back corner, away from the cemetery near Delmont. You might not know that because you're on the other side, but there's 2 basins already on that try to address stormwater. They're not doing their job. They weren't put in by the township. I don't know, they don't even know who put them in.
I'm trying to where the basins at, I don't know where the
Yeah,
basins
there's
are out there.
two
It's
of
hard
them,
to say.
so, everybody knows about the stormwater, but I can't tie those two, they're separate projects, yeah.
Unfortunately, one's in another township. We can only control what goes on in Warminster.
I mean,
It
if
would
there's
have to
traffic
be a- it would be a
improvements or
regional thing.
trails, but not, stormwater has to be
Right.
separate. We have our own ordinances. Come Tuesday night, tell your neighbors, and
Yeah,
Tuesday
July
night.
27th, 7 o'clock, right here.
Okay,
Right here.
I'm sure we'll be here then.
I'm a
Yeah.
betting man, and I doubt the board will see it, but I was gonna tell them they might see the job, but I'm guessing maybe September.
Is it a true statement that this has been approached before to be developed in there and it was turned down?
No, they
Not-
actually offered it to the township for purchase 10 years ago. And the township said, why would, we already had tons of open space involved then, and the township said, no, that was 10.
I've been
10
here
years
for
ago.
quite a while. No one's ever presented a plan. There was talk of the cemetery doing this for years and whispered down the lane that they wanted to sell it. But no one came through. This is the first time I've seen a sketch plan in almost 15 years.
I just thought that when they put the houses on Delmont, they only put
They don't
the one-
own anything on Delmont.
That whole stretch of New Homes that went in there 10 years ago, that wasn't part of the cemetery?
Cemetery never did a subdivision that I'm aware of.
I don't know.
A lot of people want to live on golf courses if you want to live on a cemetery. Great opportunity, great opportunity.
Your neighbors don't bother you.
That's
Very quiet,
that's
right.
They're very quiet.
Quiet
Gated
neighbors.
community.
No loud parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Okay.
Night,
Have-
Tuesday night.
I mean, if they're looking for feedback, now's your chance.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know?
Please.
Yeah, please go out and,
We'll be there.
okay,
Okay, sure.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There.
Hello.
Hi.
Magda Pajak, 101 Tally Hill Drive, facing the cemetery. Mark, can you clarify when you said we were trying, who's we?
No, the cemetery, I believe, several years ago offered that part to the township to purchase, and at that time, the township didn't have an interest. That was years ago. Like, I don't even remember specifics, it was that long ago.
So considering there's a lot of berms on that land,
Right.
that when, on opposite side, when they were building the new communities, they've created the berms. It's a wetland on a cemetery. Why wouldn't the township purchase the land, or at least
Yeah,
consider it to be something where it doesn't really affect the residents?
and I'll tell you how long ago that was. I was on the park board then. I wasn't even on the board of supervisors then, and it was discussed at a park board meeting, and that's 12 years ago. But it never went any.
So you would have to go find all the people that were on the board 12 years ago and ask them that
It
question.
never
Why
went any
didn't you buy
further
it?
than
Yeah.
that, that I know of.
So why wouldn't that be a consideration these days? So you take over, right, the governance
Sold
of the community, right, so, of the township? So why wouldn't this be something that would be considered right now, based on the fact of the flooding that's happening within the
We
community?
don't own the property.
Yes, but you're responsible for approving it, right? So you're approving the different build-outs, just the same way we were just talking about the land development right now, by LP sketch plan presentation. The water's gonna drain somewhere, right? So the water's gonna go into the same underground, or however they're gonna do this. It's gonna go in the same location, most likely, where the housing water is going right now, but all those communities are getting flooded. So I live on the upper side, or like middle to upper side of Tally Ho, where if you go in 2 homes down, just from us, there's literally, they get flooded, and even 4 homes that lower to that, you can take a boat or low, wherever you want to take, and it gets very extremely flooded. That's not, like, I'm not sure what type of consideration is being done with that potential build-out, and that even the new land development that was presented today, and how are we gonna merge all of them, right? Because that's still within Warminster community. With the potential sale of the land from the cemetery, I did contact Hersham Township, and they take the same positions you guys do. It's like a separate country, but it's really not, because from a homeowner's perspective, Hersham Township's taking a position that's not their land development, right? It's ours. But then like on the opposite side, we also have additional land development that's happening. And if we're approving all the multiple land developments, I understand from the conversation that happened earlier, we're all looking for revenue. We're all looking for either transfer tax, building as much as we can, putting as much as we can. So this way we have the revenue, including increasing in taxes. That gives you an increase of value of property, where you can increase taxes without just by doing like, I guess, basic calculations. So with all the additional revenue that's coming in and all the additional potential build-outs that are happening, why wouldn't that be considered? The residents that currently are existing, why wouldn't we consider of maybe purchasing that land, right? It's a wet land. So if we build out for 20, 30 years, however many those homes have been built around, like, no one considered purchasing that land because there are issues, because it's a wetland. But now we're just going so drastically of raising revenue that we're losing sight of land being out there for protection. I mean, the water's gotta go somewhere, right?
Right, we're not approving anything for the purpose of revenue. First of all, that's a mistake, that's a misstatement, okay? We don't own the land, and when somebody like Toll Brothers, do you understand what a by right is? B-Y-R-I-G-H-T, by right?
Yes.
That's their right to do what they want on that land. Now, we can control the stormwater with our engineering. We can say your stormwater's not sufficient, but we cannot tell them they can't build what they want on that property. That's called by right. That means it's your right to do what you want on that property. But you have to follow the ordinances, you have to follow the zoning, and you have to do all that. And what happened 12 years ago is way beyond our control now. So if Warminster had an opportunity to buy that land 12 years ago and didn't do it, and Toll Brothers bought it, there's not much we can do about it now. Because I'm sure Toll Brothers is going to want $50 million for it. Now, I'll be more than happy to buy it, but how do you want to pay for it?
I'll add one thing. The right form is the cemetery representatives have been in meetings, have been part of it, not with this board, but at staff level. That's who you want to put pressure on not to sell it. Toll can't develop it unless it's sold. They're saying they don't need the rest of that land. That's what's been going for the last 10, 12 years. Everybody's looking like, hey, there's a big chunk of land, and it can't be built unless it's sold. I mean, that's really where the focus needs to be. Like, just like Dowser's Farm, it's up to that homeowner to sell that, and I know that was another big one where, can we buy it? But the township doesn't have the funds, and that was a decision years ago not to purchase the back of the cemetery.
I'll say one other thing too, sorry. They cannot increase the amount of water flowing. Any developer that comes into Warminster, really anywhere. So they don't have to fix what's, they didn't create this. Toll Brothers did not create the flooding issue. It exists. They have nothing to do with it at this point. When they build their development, if anything, their development will take water out, when our engineers get done with it, it'll be less water will flow than is flowing in there now. They don't have to correct everything that's there. We're gonna try to, obviously, one of the things townships try to do is get builders, when they come in here, to correct problems that already exist. But they cannot add to the water, so the flooding cannot be made worse. It can be made better, but it can't be made worse. And so that's the long and the short of that. And it hasn't happened yet. I mean, you need to go there, and your opinion, and put pressure, as our engineer said, and insist, and we will insist, this board will insist, I know this board, the engineers will insist, that their stormwater calculations are both correct and improve the situation, do not make it worse.
So I did try to contact the cemetery with probably over 3-week span with no response, but that's outside of it. So just from like I keep it short because like I know you guys want to move on, but in case, let's say the build out happens, you guys, like, it gets approved here, and it's 2-3 years down the road, and now all the community gets flooded. Who takes responsibility for it?
Okay. Again, this is public comment, it's not questions and answers. You can say anything you want, it's your right for 3 minutes. But I'm just gonna say that the engineering of this project and any other project that goes on in this township, the amount of water has to not increase over what naturally would increase from rain. Now, that's a problem, especially when you're having climate change where you're getting a lot more water than you used to get. Like we've seen the kind of rain we've had this summer, for example, this month alone, like 10 inches, 12 inches, whatever the crazy number is. But they will not be permitted to add any additional water into the problem. That does not solve the existing problem. But that should give you some comfort. They will not make the problem worse.
And we're taking stormwater, there's people in the audience here that know that we take stormwater management seriously. I mean, it's a problem everywhere because from 1950 on, it was just pipes in the ground dumping out wherever. No one undersized stormwater management, so now we're stuck as a mandate from the government, an unfunded mandate, to fix all the problems for the past 70 years. So we do take it seriously. So that's why we have professionals that will review all the stormwater management, and they have to You know, our goal is to lower the amount of stormwater being discharged into streams and into, and onto properties. I don't think you can discharge stormwater onto a property anyway.
Correct.
I just want to add one thing. I know this is going to, these kind of jobs, there's going to be a lot of public comment, so I know we're going on a little long, but they're coming on their, it's a sketch plan level, and it's by right, and they still want to come to a planning commission.
Right.
This guy probably said, they're probably nuts to do that because they're going to get bombarded, but they want your input, and I told them that it's better to do it that way. I wanted them to come in front of the board. They wanted to roll up their sleeves and hear everything because they know it's a stormwater problem out there. I've already had a big meeting with them. They're fully aware of all this. They're going to do above and beyond even what's required by ordinance. This board knows I do that anyway. This attorney knows that I do that. They're not going to solve everything, but they're going to help the neighbors. The pipes, I've already looked at them. They're flooding. I'm aware of all that. I can't have them fix everything, but they're willing to work with us as long as the township does as well. And they wanted input from all the residents, so they decided to come to planning commission. I don't have that very much, so they're aware. I want all the voice, anybody that can come out and identify all the problems, and I'm sure you guys will. That will help them and help me try to handle some of the stormwater issues out there. I just can't fix all of it. I know it's a big problem out there, and they, you know, it's 45 homes, it's not 400 homes, but your stormwater problem won't be solved, but it will be better. But I need to have the residents help the developer and us, the engineers, figure out the best way to do that. And they want to do it early on, not later.
Yeah, and that's, and they are being cooperative, and that's, so, again, I want to say this again, I'll say it 16 times before the night's over. This Tuesday, July 27th, is the Planning Commission meeting, right here in this building at 7 o'clock, in this room. So, please come to that and address everything with the Planning Commission and the property owner.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
do you try to contact the cemetery? They don't return your calls?
There's a lady that picks up regardless which number you call.
Right.
The cemetery, like, the old fellas, like they own their various cemeteries.
Oh, okay.
So their main number, all the numbers direct to one number, and the one person only picks it up. And she doesn't know anything about the sale. So every time you talk to her, she'll tell you that there is no such a thing as an ongoing sale or potential sale.
Tell them you want to buy a plot and ask them if they'll have somebody meet you.
I did ask her.
They'll be there tomorrow, right?
Send somebody right on out there.
They'll call you right back.
We dig a hole and push them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I can buy a plot right across from my fence,
Correct.
but there was not a good response to that.
You don't want to buy a plot till they resolve the water problem.
No, I'll take the plot, Like, I'm okay, I still have a long way to go, so like, as long as
Thank
the
God.
farm's there, I think I'm good.
Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Hi, Fred Berenberg, 144 Delmont. I actually closed on that property last month. Guess I'm one of those who contributed to the transfer tax.
Thank you.
I don't have an issue with the stormwater. I'm not denying that there are issues, but mine is about the aesthetics. As we saw what I will loosely term the Sprouts plan, there was an area of trees. I like trees. I'm not a tree hugger, but, you know, nature's nice. So, as you may know, along Delmont, between that and the cemetery property, there is actually a very thick tree line. It practically looks like woods. It's not, but it looks that way. And my request, and again, guess I'm talking to the wrong group of folks, and I will come out Tuesday night, right? But, and actually, before I present my comment, I know this is not a Q&A, but if you could just indulge me on this by right, would they have the right to remove basically all the trees? And it's not just on Delmont, it's on other property, roads that, on perimeter.
No.
No, and if they do, don't they have to replace certain ones?
No, they can't even replace all of them. No, there's a certain percent.
Right.
And it depends on the caliber of the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then if then they have to replant the ones that they take down.
Right, now, just, and I don't want to go off on a wrong tangent, right? But the count, the definition of the count of the number of trees they're taking down is only of, 4-inch diameter?
It's 2.5 or 3.5 and up. I don't have it memorized. but
Okay, fair enough. All right,
Small,
all right.
you know, smaller tree.
Yeah, so my question is, would the planning commission, and question for them, I'm sorry. Do they have the right to basically take down all the trees, or most of them? You know, if they leave, you know, cut back 2/3 of the tree line. Cut back 2/3 of it, fine. They need land to work with. I'm in business, I get it. But Tuesday night, I'll make my comment that just appreciate it if they could. And it's not just for us. The folks who are buying those properties, it's gonna be more aesthetically appealing.
Right, well, again, Toll Brothers is doing this to get feedback from the residents there now, so I would say Tuesday at 7 o'clock, right in this building. You know, I mean, because that's really where you need to address it, and, because these are the beginning steps. So, when everyone, like normal, waits for it to come to the board, it's almost too late at that point. So, they're willing to work with everybody and to see what the issues are and try to address them. So, come to the meeting. And the planning commission and you know, I'm sure they'll be happy to see everybody there, because when I was on that board, that commission, very few people showed up, until there was a crisis. And then at that point, it was almost too late, because zoning had already done their, you know, gave them waivers, and it was too late at that point. So now is the time to do this. So Tuesday would be perfect. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Dr. Rajan, Win Rajan.
Address, please.
I live at 503 Evergreen Avenue.
Okay.
And I'm here for two reasons. One, Evergreen and Lemon Street. There's a stop sign on Evergreen I'm sorry, there's a stop sign on Lemon Street on both sides, and Evergreen does not have one, and I see at least 6 to 10 accidents a year. I'm gonna request that there be some sort of a stop sign on Evergreen also to reduce the number of accidents happening, and I see this quite a lot. I've run out there many times. That is one of the things I wanted to speak about. The second one, major concern, is the marijuana dispensary that's upcoming on York Road. That's right, it's something that I'm not happy about, and hope that that can be supplied somewhere else. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get that, Steve, the streets?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Bob Guarini. I live at 986 Mueller Road, and just want to ask a couple questions about the work that's being done on the roads. And trust me, I'm very happy. My street looks great. It's nice and smooth. There's no bumps, no potholes. So I seem to remember, at least I think, that when we were planning this, or the township was approving it and had it proposed, that the ADA corners were going to replace as well. I don't know, you know, I have not seen that happening, so, you know.
The construction isn't happening at the same time. In August, we'll be evaluating all those. In fact, Steve and I just spoke again today. I think to save some money, Public Works is gonna help my office out. It's nice to have your Public Works Director, a former employee of my office, and we get along very well, so we'll be engaging him and to save the taxpayer some dollars to look at all that. And then I have scheduled in the fall I have to figure out how much to survey and then design them. And then even before that, Steve and I will be working on a budget for how much they're expensive. I think everybody knows that, so.
So it's like a phase 2 type thing?
Yeah,
you know,
probably
you're
be
gonna-
a phase 1, 2, and 3.
You don't have to
so.
do them at the same time.
Okay, yeah, I just, you know,
But they're going to, you know, and you don't have to do them all at once either.
And it doesn't affect the work that has already been done to replace them? Okay.
Well,
Slightly.
it
Well,
will affect
yeah.
some of it, yes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say none. I've already been on record. There'll be some patchwork. It's the way it is. When you pave this many miles, we're up to 17 miles of road. It's one of the largest paving projects we've ever done, and we handle Horsham and Northampton and Bristol's. It's cheaper to just go and mill and pave and get it out of the way and then come back.
Okay.
I'm on record, I didn't agree with that, but on smaller projects, that's the way I want it done, and I'd probably argue more with the manager, but this is where you could get the contractor's best rates to just come in and mill and pave and then come back. But yes, they will have to rip up a little bit, probably about 12 inches or so around where they paved. They're not ripping and tearing up the
Yeah,
whole
okay.
road.
Right, so
It's
they're
just
gonna
at the
cut
handicap
right
ramp.
around the curbs,
Yeah,
and then, and
the
it's
curb
not
line.
cold patch, by the way. I know somebody made a
No,
comment
there'll
that
be
they
no
put
cold patch.
It's all hot patch.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's all
Sealed.
Yeah.
sealed, and, so it'll be like, it'll look just like it's paved.
Okay.
They just-
So
Well,
we'll-
I was gonna bring this up in engineer's report, but I might as well now. So by September, I would say, you'll be able to give us some type of report that here's how many corners need to be done, here's what ones need to be.
If
what's
Public
the
Works is
cost.
gonna help out, and I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen, in August, we'll probably have the number of how many, not all ramps have to be replaced.
Right.
I didn't know this, but when Steve and I spoke today, we want to use a PennDOT form, so everything's documented in the file of what is certified and what isn't. So anybody challenges that, I believe the Public Works Director had the same recommendation, and I had already done that. So we're on the same page. That forms will be filled out. Everybody will know which ramps out of 200, let's say 175 need to be replaced.
Right.
I'll come up with a cost on my end. I'll estimate what I think the contractor's bids are gonna be, which is extremely difficult nowadays. And I'll give Steve a number, $5,000 per ramp. We'll figure out that cost, and we're gonna do the budget. And I promised that September, October at the latest.
Right.
And then, I had actually planned for some of that work, if the road program went really well, which it went extremely well, that we have some extra money. The less problems and the less I'm involved, it saves everybody money. So, if it went well, I had a budget set aside with Mr. McCauley to start work on the ramps this year and not wait till next year.
Well, thank you for the
So,
clarity on that.
All right.
And
I
then-
planned, it went well, but we're not done yet. We're
Yeah,
almost there.
okay.
But yeah, so I think we have enough to work this year on it, on the planning aspect, budget, and then the big decision is how much money to spend over the next year or two on all the ramps. They are
Right.
quite expensive.
And just one more point that I need clarity on, and trust me, I think it's great that the roads are being paved. As a resident, I'm very happy. Like Mearns Road, I believe that's a state road. Do we get reimbursed, from the state for paving that, or like, who?
We're not
That's
paving
all,
that.
that's all the authority. Any state work is authority driven, and they had to wait later in the process. We were ahead of them to know how much PennDOT was required to repave.
Okay.
So that's where we got off on one meeting where, yes, it's part of the township program, but reimbursement will be through the authority on any state highway. We
Okay.
just didn't know how much PennDOT would require the authority, a half a lane, a full width. So we had an estimating, we did this in January, December and January.
Yeah, right.
So,
Okay.
Because that's when you get your best rates for asphalt.
Yeah, right, in the winter.
Yeah,
Tell you
and
when
just to be
when it's
clear,
snowing.
we brought this up quite a few times. The township is not paving state roads.
Right.
We are not paving state roads. Our contractor will pave them, and that money will come from the municipal authority.
Okay. All
Because
right.
that's all part of all their pipe replacement.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello, I'm Janice Charlton, 500 Lemon Street, Warminster. I have a couple, this Green Lake Go plan that you have that just got approved, I'm excited about that, and it's gonna help our roads. Some of the concerns I have on Lemon Street again, is it possible to make it where it's one way, that last little block between Evergreen and York Road, to have that just a right turn only at that intersection, since we just had a fatality there at that intersection? And, like, how are we spending this money that we've qualified for?
That money is for the signals that exist, and I believe the retiming of those as well, and probably some equipment that would go in. I don't know
Okay.
all the details of that. What you're asking would require a study from a traffic engineer
Okay.
And that would be our traffic engineer to initiate that. I am not that familiar, I will say, with that intersection right now. I'll certainly look at it and then consult with our traffic engineer.
Yeah, in fact, I agree with Steve. However, I'd first have Public Works, maybe there's some history there. Public Works can educate the manager and then decide whether
Oh,
to
that's
spend the
fine.
resources to go to the traffic engineer and have that evaluated. But a study would have to be performed.
Okay.
And then adopted and approved, and there's a whole other step after that if they want to go that direction.
Okay, I just understand that with the medical marijuana dispensary going on that corner, we're gonna have much more foot traffic, cars and trucks and so on and so forth. And I'd like to see
That's a valid point, that's a valid point.
if we can take some assessment into that. And I'll ask about the bus stop signs at the bus stop, I guess, for that same person as well. As I've been out walking and meeting the community, back to the paving situation, Gibson Street, there's a lot of complaints because they did not finish that entire street, and the curb sits higher than the road does.
They'll be back, I was gonna update everybody.
Okay.
on engineer's report, so that's the last street. My staff did some negotiations to get them back.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't have, get ready for that part of the presentation.
sorry.
But that's fine. I'm told next week, contractors always change, but, they came back at no charge to the township. They actually left because they were pretty much done. We negotiated about fixing Gibson and, along with a couple other roads that they just came back to do. So they didn't charge to come back, do that. They're gonna leave after they finish Gibson, and then they'll wait for the authority projects to be finished and come back in August, probably sometime end of August. But that will be done.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you.
the list somewhere, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that list is on the website page, is it?
It should be, I think we gave it to you. I mean, it's updated, they just came back this week, so I don't even have the most current list.
Yeah, so you can go to, the township webpage and see what the remaining schedule is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No one? Okay. Let's move on. All right, consent agenda. So let's consider approval of the Board of Supervisors minutes from June 3rd, 2021. Consider approval of proclamations recognizing Nick and Fred Camp. They worked at ShopRite. And I know, Mark, you were there to present them with
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, really good guys.
Yeah.
You saw the list.
Okay, consider Bucks Bagels, release number 2 from the escrow account, in the amount of $14,977.25. Consider approval of payment escrow for the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority in the amount of $50,000. Consider approval of J.D. Morrissey, Inc., change order 1 and 2. Consider approval of the 2021-2022 Consortium Fuel Contract Award Recommendation. And consider approval of a $100 donation to the Archbishop Wood Robotics Team through sponsorship of their annual Wheels at Wood event. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second? Any comments, questions? From the public? Okay, seeing none, let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We did the finance report, now we have unfinished business.
I'm sorry.
Whoa, yeah, the
the
most important part. Let's pay the bills.
Randy was ready.
I'm sorry, Mary, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the clock.
No.
Pardon me. Let's pay the bills first.
The approval of the bill list, June 17th, 2021, in the amount of $2,707,509.18, and the supplemental bill list dated June 30th, 2021, in the amount of $833,978.18, and the bill list dated July 15th, 2021, in the amount of $2,101,107.81, for a total of $5,642,595.17.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, any questions from the public? All right, let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye, so we paid the bills,
Right.
5-0.
Keep the lights on.
Thank you. I'm sorry for jumping past that. the most important part. Okay, so unfinished business, to consider acceptance of Shenandoah Woods, the public conveyance portion of it, and I'm gonna hand this off to, our staff, or professionals, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been working with the Solicitor's Office on, and Scott Randy on trying to take over the last portion of Shenandoah Woods, which is approximately a 26-acre parcel, which was the public conveyance portion. So when Shenandoah Woods was first discussed many, many, many years ago, there was going to be a public conveyance portion, and the remaining portion was going to be sold for development. But as you know, in our last couple of meetings, we have taken over the portion that was going to be developed, and now both portions are going to be part of our Warminster Community Park. This is the second portion. The Solicitor's Office has been assisting with making sure that the deed is correct, and I believe we're in that final stage. So approval tonight, we will then facilitate acceptance of the deed.
Right, a motion would be in order for that. For
Okay.
us to accept the deed for the public benefit conveyance deed for Shenandoah Woods.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Everyone's jumping on that one.
Yeah,
This is
All right.
long overdue.
Yeah, it is long
Long
overdue.
overdue.
It's been going on and dragging on and on for years and years, and I'm glad to see we finally are starting to put this behind us and move forward and getting those eyesores knocked down and cleaned up and, yeah. Okay, is there any other comment from the public? Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, being none, so let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay.
Finally. How long's it been?
Sure.
Go ahead, Bob. Why not?
Why not?
Bob Wells, Highway Avenue. Are we still going to call it Shenandoah Woods, or we're going to change the name?
Bob Woods.
No.
Well, maybe we'll put that out to the schools. Yeah, maybe we'll put that out that would be the annex to the park. It's going to be, I believe we're going to just keep it natural and walking trails and, yeah, maybe we'll put that out to the schools and have them name it.
That's a great idea.
That'd be a great idea.
That'd be great. And the kids all fight about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, let everybody's creative juices flow.
Yep.
Amen.
All right, I don't believe there's any new business. Nope. Professionals reports. Steve?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Human Resource Department, end of the table here, has been very busy with staffing at the library, and it's gone very well. Number of new hires that are there. That is a very intense process, as you can imagine, hiring people, especially at a library, which require additional clearances. So we're very happy that we've been able to accomplish. Catherine, how many new hires do you think we've had?
5.
5, thank you. Yep. So.
Drew watching right now.
So-
I hope you're watching, Jerry.
And
Yes.
And the Public Works Department has been very busy. As you know, we have our new Public Works Director, Andrew, doing a great job. He's actually been here at the building a number of times with Larry's assistance as well. Larry kind of keeps everything. We wouldn't be here tonight without Larry's. He hates it when I say stuff like this, but it is very much appreciated how he keeps everything functioning in our township, from the buildings to IT and those types of things. We've been experiencing some flooding in the basement. Larry's been knocking his head against the wall trying to figure out how to do it. And I think, Larry, with your team, I think we've come up with a solution, because last night when it was raining very, very hard, I came back to the township, and Larry, there was no water in the basement. So thank you.
All right, good job.
So now I think there's still more work to be done there, but that's a big deal to me, because all of our financial records are down there along with our personnel records. And Larry has been also working on helping us with our IT, and has made a number of enhancements to that, and there are a number of open POs on my desktop that he's waiting for me to approve for further enhancements. We're looking at a project over on Norristown Road to enhance the crosswalk there, and Andrew's office is going to help us with that. So those are the things I wanted to, without belaboring you, the number of pages that are in here are extensive, but those are things I wanted to bring to your attention.
Okay,
Steve?
thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
I believe our solicitor's next.
Yeah, I'll keep this short in the interest of time. You have our report. If you have any specific questions, we'll be happy to answer it, but just going to give you an update. You've probably been reading in the paper, Warminster, amongst thousands of other municipalities, is part of the opioid litigation. Township should be aware of this. The opioids have been a scourge throughout the United States, particularly hard hit here in Pennsylvania. Some of the defendants have now agreed to make settlements. They've been approved, and it's the first couple dominoes, and they're starting to fall. I expect there'll be multiple settlements over a period of months, years, and eventually that money will go to the states, and then we'll trickle down to us, and there'll be a formula worked out, which is still being negotiated. You can imagine with like 27,000 municipalities fighting over the pie, it's a little complicated, but they're working on a formula, and I expect that someday, and I can't say when that day will be, Warminster Township will receive some of those funds. So, thank you. I have
Thank you,
nothing
Randy.
further.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. And of course, Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we hit every item I was
Pretty
going to
much,
talk about,
yeah.
but
Oh, it was nice, it was good.
but if I don't mention this, then some say, why didn't you mention it? At Planning Commission meeting on next Tuesday, which you will hear Pine Grove development, you also, they haven't pulled off the agenda, they do have our reviews. It's called Double H Plastics Building Edition. And I wish I knew the square footage of the existing building, but the building's located at Street Road between Park and Jacksonville, across from Walmart and Costco. The building addition is 90,000 square feet, and I was trying to look to see what the existing building was. I don't have it in my notes. They have actually a pocket of wetlands and woodlands in the back corner. The wetlands is impacting the layout. They might need some relief, so that's going to be a big issue as well with them. They were hoping to stay in the township, do an addition if they can. Obviously, we'd like to keep them in the township, but it's a quite significant addition. So they'll be coming to Planning Commission. If that goes well, they'll come to the board.
Craig, weren't they looking to go up at one point?
I don't know. I don't know that, but
That must have been a few years back, but
it might have.
now they're looking to go out to the rear end. Hopefully, we can work out with them. They're a major employer.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, we can work something out.
We've already talked about the road program. The park project is going very well, getting closer and closer to the end. I don't know if you got a tour.
I
you
did
get-
not get. the
Okay,
chance
I
to
know
get a
one.
tour. I need to get there, so I have to arrange that with
So I know another supervisor did. I hear good feedback, so everybody seems to be happy with that.
My wife and I got a tour from Karen a couple weeks ago, and then we were over there on our bicycles the other day. People are simply going to get lost with all the new trails and all going in. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
So they're,
All the new trails going in, the new pavilion, baseball fields being added, greening up the.
The last update I have is
heard
Impressive.
Public Works was working with the contractor, finishing up the trails, and so all's good there, and
Yep.
we're on budget, and another large project that we'll be wrapping up here in the end of summer.
Say that again, Craig? On budget? That's perfect, because that's what we strive for, on budget.
The township staff and my staff have done a great
That's
job.
great.
on-
On time. We appreciate that,
On time
yes.
budget.
Amen.
Yeah, and Miko's done a great job out there, and again, it's a quality contracting company.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful.
the, along with its qualified workers. So, yeah, I need to get out there. It's been offered to me, I just haven't had a
Why
chance.
don't you gas up the bicycle tomorrow, and we'll take a ride?
Yeah, okay.
Mine has a battery, I have an unfair.
I know, you do. Yeah, okay.
The only other
Anything else?
comment was, I know we had some issues with Aldi Grocery Store at Street Newtown. I think we all got their attention. I know everybody got involved. My staff actually was involved before the township was with the county conservation district, so the county was not happy as well. We weren't, and I made some phone calls. I got some phone calls. Usually don't have to get involved at that level, but I did. They, I think, heard us loud and clear and are cooperating now, so I think you haven't gotten any more calls,
I
so.
have not.
Okay, so I haven't either. But we got off track a little bit with the Aldi and construction and safety issues out there.
Have you heard anything? I know they're locking the gate now, Liz,
Yeah.
and it's been cleaned up a little bit.
They have these safety first signs up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
About
It's right
that.
on our corner,
And
too.
as far as.
And I
the-
appreciate, I appreciate that they responded. Everybody, I hate when the township gets the calls, especially elected officials and.
Well, the problem we were seeing, and Mr. Hayes and I was saying the same thing, we're going by there on the weekend and the gates are wide open. I know we're not required to close them, but it's a safety hazard. Someone goes in there, climbs up that steel and falls, they're gonna call us. They're not gonna call the developer.
But-
And it was going on every weekend, and I think it's been since corrected.
Hopefully we're on track now. so-
Thank you, good, thank you, Steve.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Greg.
so.
Sure. Upcoming meetings.
Oh, upcoming meetings. Yes, I'll leave that to you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board of Supervisors, next meeting is August 5th. Municipal Authority is meeting on August 9th. Library Board is not till September 8th. And then the Zoning Hearing Board, there are 3 applications that are going to be heard on July 28th. They are all residential. The first is for variances to construct a fence. Second is for variances to permit less than the required front yard and rear yard setbacks. And the third is for applicant request from a variance to permit more than the permitted impervious coverage. So the first one for the fence is 1108 Lynch Circle. Second one for the front and rear setback, front and rear yard setbacks is 727 Tennyson. And the third is 287 Green Road for a variance for impervious coverage. All residential, small items.
Okay, and when is the planning commission meeting?
The planning commission meeting is next Tuesday at 7 PM.
Next
July
Tuesday,
27th.
July
July
27th
27th.
at 7 PM.
And the rest of the meetings are on the back of the agenda.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, well, supervisors' comments. I'll start with you, Kathy.
Okay, I just have one comment to make, a very productive meeting with all of our professionals and our staff. I want to thank everyone rolling up their sleeves, developing, our board developed a great financial plan that we have put into motion, and the benefits of that plan have been shown in our audit today, and that is great news for our township and for our residents, and I just want to say big thank you to all of us for rolling up our sleeves and getting to that point. Thank you, that's it.
You're welcome. Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer, everyone stays safe out there, it's certainly been a hot one. And I've talked to the chairman and to Mr. Wiesner about it several times, that hopefully there's some possibilities to build into next year's budget a little more code enforcement. I think we got a little lackadaisical around town as far as enforcement of codes for commercial properties particularly. If we wanna ride down Street Road, we wanna see things nice and tight, and it just simply sometimes hasn't been the case, so we've had discussion about it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can devise a little better code enforcement for next year. Also, I wanna tell you that in all the years I've been here, it's really great to see everyone in person, and this is the first time I've sat in this chair, so I'm really glad to see the chief here because they call this the active shooter chair. So. I don't know if I was put here on purpose.
You put me in that
Great,
chair
they
to
moved me
begin
down
with.
to the active shooter seat. They must really want me out of here.
What a role we live in.
Chief, I'm glad to see you here, but it has its advantages though. I can party with the public.
That's
while you
right.
guys
That's
conduct
right.
the
You can
business, so-
interact.
Right, exactly. But anyway, that's all I have, and I hope everyone enjoys, the rest of their summer. We'll see everyone before summer's over. Be safe out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mary?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It was really great seeing everybody in person. And all the participation that we had tonight was awesome also. So, thank you.
Great public comment.
Yes.
Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, ditto here. It was really great to see the whole crowd there, see their faces. It was really nice. And as I've said many times before, you cannot have a democracy without citizenship participation. So I thank you all for coming out.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, everyone. It was good to see everyone. It was great to hear the input, and then don't forget, as far as participation, public participation, this Tuesday, July 27th. And, you know, and it's very important that we have the citizens participate. And we do hear everyone, and we try to do the best we can to address all the issues. And Mark, I agree, we've talked about this. I've talked about it with the manager, but there are some issues here. And, I mean, we're slowly, the ship's turning around, we're steering in the right direction financially, but we have other issues here we need to address at the same time, and we are gonna work on that. We want this township to be the benchmark. We want all the other townships to look at Warminster and Bucks County and say, that's the way you govern, that's the way you manage a township, and the community's solid, and that's what we try to do. So, thank you very much, and thanks everyone for paying their taxes, that really helps.
Yes.
You know, it's incredible that we have such a high rate. I mean, it's probably one of the highest in the township, or in the county. So thanks again. And we'll go right to public comment, because I bypassed that. Anyone? Oh, come on, Bob, come on down. You got your cheat sheet with you?
I do. Bob Wells, Hollow Avenue. Can we just get an update on Nifty 50s? Looks like they were built and then all of a sudden it stopped.
No, I don't, I don't get involved in why the contract with the building stopped, so.
Okay.
Or even, they don't divulge much to us, we have to pull it out of them, but, I can look into that and get an update.
They might be having trouble getting material like everyone.
Well,
Yeah, that could be it.
Or workers.
Bob, it's gotten everybody knows this, but it's absolutely insane with the materials. It's getting worse, just like I heard about labor, from all angles right now, so that could be it, but I can look at that and get back, give Steve an update.
Yeah, I was looking forward to maybe getting there this summer, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Bob,
take
you know
care.
as well as anybody, materials are tough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's brutal. Yeah, yeah. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, with that, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Excellent, thanks. Everyone have
Thank
a
you.
safe month, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks, I believe, right?
Yes.
2 weeks? 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks. Yeah.